come apart.
I
And now
know.
those fuckers cost like $6.
I know. I know. People who love them love them. I'm just not one of them.
It's okay.
I love that you got a magic stocking and you're like, I'm gonna get something I can grab at Walmart. Hell yeah. Viv, our virgin. Hi.
Hi, I'm Viv or Visha, and I am playing the Virgin who is trying her very best to hold on to her innocence and not let the real world get into the way of her blood.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to night 8 of Girls Run These Worlds holiday one shots. Welcome to Bluebeard's Bride, Mrs. Claus. We're going to go ahead, run around, introduce all of our sisters, our pieces of Mrs. Claus, and we're going to start with the Animus. Hi, Val.
Hi. Oh no, why do I have to be first? Hi everyone, I'm Val. I play the Animus, which is someone who holds on to righteousness with both hands.
All right. And do you have, I'm going to go ahead and ask you an interesting ice breaking question to remove some of that awkward, how do we know if this is over? Uh,
Yeah.
there is, right now, if you turn around, there's a stocking behind you, a magical stocking. It's got something
Oh
small in there.
shit.
It can't be bigger than an orange.
Okay.
What's in the stocking?
Like for me personally or for my
For,
Animus?
for you
For
personally.
me, no bigger than an orange.
Hmm.
I can't say that on stream.
Nice.
That it's this isn't an OnlyFans stream, so but you all get the picture.
We get the gist.
Mhm.
We roughly understand what's in the stocking. I approve. All right. So, Anna, our fatale.
Yes, I am Anna, aka Archival Dust Bunny, most places on the internet. My pronouns are she, her, and I am playing the Fatale. A little concerned with power and doing whatever I have to get it.
Okay. And if you turn around right now in that magic stocking, can't be bigger than an orange. What's in the stocking?
Um, Probably a bunch of frozen Kit Kats, various flavors.
Okay. Like, I know you mean like a stack of Kit Kats, but understand that I'm just like imagining someone has mushed a whole bunch of Kit Kats. This is a horror game.
Yeah, we're
This is a
already
horror
starting.
game, and the horror starts
They,
now with all these smushed Kit Kats
they half
jammed
melted it and
together.
smushed it together and froze it.
It's
Now
roughly the size of an
it's a
orange.
orange Kit Kat size ball.
I'm basically just
Little
imagining
cookies
orange
sticking
and
out.
mint. Yeah, like orange and
Mhm.
mint Kit Kat together, and I'm like,
A horror. Okay, and Alice, the mother.
Hi, I'm Alice. She, they pronouns. Tonight, I am going to be playing the mother who is trying to lead their sister along without getting us all killed. Maybe.
I mean, you probably got this. I'm sure you got this. It'll be fine. So, magic stocking behind you. Something in the bottom. No bigger than an orange. What's in your stocking, Alice?
Okay, after hearing chocolate, all I can think about is one of those chocolate oranges.
I almost said that.
They're so good.
They are.
Yeah.
I hate them so much. They're my least favorite thing. Oh my God, I hated orange and chocolate. No, separate them. Orange here, chocolate there. I love them both, not together. Mm-mm.
It's nostalgia for me. My grandmother used to give them to me. I used to take them and toss them at a wall. So that's the only way you can break them apart.
I
And
know.
now those fuckers cost like $6.
I know. I know. People who love them love them. I'm just not one of them.
It's okay.
I love that you got a magic stocking and you're like, I'm gonna get something I can grab at Walmart. Hell yeah. Viv, our virgin. Hi.
Hi, I'm Viv or Vesha, and I am playing the virgin who is trying her very best to hold on to her innocence and not let the real world get into the way of her black and white thinking at all.
Okay, magic stocking time. You turn around, it's hanging right there on the bookcase. Something in the bottom, no bigger than an orange. What's in your stocking, Viv?
Well, for me, it would be one of these Lind golden reindeer. They are chocolate reindeers and they're wrapped in gold foil and they have a little bell. Well, in Europe they have a little bell. Over here we're not allowed to have the bell because that is very nostalgic for me. But since it's magic, let's just say once you're down to the last bite, it will regenerate. So it's a
Okay.
never-ending chocolate reindeer.
Never ending chocolate reindeer. You're leaning into the fantasy of this. I love it. I approve. It is a thing. I'm gonna assume. Look, I don't know what size the oranges are in Germany, and I've never eaten a chocolate reindeer. I'm gonna assume you're telling the truth, and they're equivalent.
Well,
You know what?
do you know the Lind
It's a
bunnies,
jumbo
the
orange.
little golden chocolate bunnies that you can
Yeah.
get? Like that, but it's reindeers.
Okay. I gotta be honest with y'all. I don't really eat chocolate animals. I like my chocolate with fruits and nuts in it, and
Except oranges.
and except yeah, no, not orange flavored. I want like cranberries and almonds in that shit. That's the best chocolate ever. Or chocolate fudge with walnuts. Anyway, I'm distracted. I can't start talking about chocolate fudge and walnuts. I have to talk to Torin, the witch. Hi, Torin.
Hello. My name is Torrin. My pronouns are she, they, and you can find me as Torrin Talks or Torrin Talks Creativity most places. And yes, I'm playing the witch. And to describe the witch is basically just find the gray areas and all the shades of gray and take the opportunity when it arises. Very excited, but cautious.
Love it. All right, you turn around right now. There's a magic stocking hanging on your wall. What is in the bottom of it? No bigger than an orange.
Maybe an odd answer, but I want one set of D&D dice that changes color for the character I'm playing, so I don't have to keep buying D&D sets.
I mean, no, that is not a bad answer. That's pretty good. I love it. Y'all are wild. My stocking has money in it. I got a wad of hundreds the size of a freaking orange, and y'all getting chocolate reindeer. Bless your fucking hearts. I love this show. We're in it to win it. We're here for the holiday cheer. So let's go ahead and get started. So I need to first make sure that everyone understands Bluebeard's Bride is a game of feminine horror. This is a mature rated stream. I do not suggest letting I'm not kidding. I am not for children's consumption in general, but definitely do not let your kids watch this stream. It's gonna be creepy. This is not American Dad Santa's sleigh. Gosh, I love American Dad Santa's. So good. The Smiths go to war against Santa. I'ma make it look soft. Don't watch this with your babies. But also, don't be afraid to not watch this for you. If at any point you find that you are uncomfortable, that you really cannot participate in this story, step away from it. We have other tales. There are other things for you. Don't stress yourself out. This holiday season is stressful enough. Don't add to the horror if it's not for you. We'll be around. You are more important than the stories we're telling. I promise. We got this. I have had a very in depth session zero with my players. We know what's coming. You may not. So go ahead. There are content warnings because this is pre recorded. Like there's a list of them. I really hope you read them. And if not, pause it right now. Go read that list of content warnings and then come back if you want to continue. Okay? Okay. All right. I'm going to assume you read those content warnings and you still said, woo. Good for you. Let's go ahead and get started. So here's the thing about Santa. Santa, like many God divine kind of beings, is like an omniversal thing. You can find Santa in most realities. It's even the same Santa in more than a handful of them. Now, this is not quite our reality where we are, but it's not too many steps to the left either. And in it, we meet our bride. Not quite in our time period, not in a time period that really fully aligns with any of ours, but close enough that I'm pretty sure you'll understand everything that's happening as we zoom in on her. She's sleeping. She is nestled in a gigantic, spacious room. It's just crystalline white, packed snow. It shimmers like quartz and mica. There is a bed she's in. It's easily big enough to hold like 4 people her size. I kid you not, this bed's like 10 feet wide. It's like 12 feet. It makes a California king look small. And you are underneath the most beautiful blanket. It it looks like your blanket from home, but it's not. Where your blanket from home is homespun, this is a silk and wool brocade. Where yours has batten hanging out the edges, this is trimmed with the softest, whitest fur. You come awake slowly, and as you do, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your Mrs. Claus? Tell us a little bit about the woman who's waking up. Let's start with the Animus. Animus, can you tell us a little bit about your hands?
The animus's hands, the bride's hands, they're hands of someone who hasn't had a soft life. In fact, they're the hands of a warrior. They're the hands of someone who has had an axe in one hand and a shield in the other, or sometimes tossing the shield to the side and gripping that axe with both. There are calluses in the palms where one would grip the wooden hilt. Um, Her nails are kept very short for various reasons, but mostly because who wants a broken nail when you're out, fighting trolls or whatnot?
Indeed, like for real. I'm not going to say that people die because their nail broke off down in the pink meat when they were swinging on a troll, but that would probably be how I died. I
Fair.
I'm soft in all the wrong ways. Break my nail down the quick, and all of a sudden, troll got me because I'm like, I dropped my hammer.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and ask you just a couple more questions. We're going to go in order around instead of jumping through our sisters.
Hmm.
So, your hands, those callous, strong hands, what weakness is given away when others hold them?
Their weakness is, what did I write down? um, they don't like to be vulnerable. There is um it isn't likely that the palms are open. They're Even when she is standing still or not clasping onto the hand of someone else, you see her palms not necessarily like clenched in a fist, but if they're not wrapped around some sort of tool or weapon, they are usually closed because um, having her hands exposed and open is a sign of vulnerability for her.
All right. Thank you so much. Now we're going to jump around a little bit. The Fatal. What is Mrs. Claus's mouth like?
It would be described it would be described by most in her community as sharp, both the shape of it and the lines starting to form around it, just as likely to give you a sneer as a massive smile.
Thank you so much. And how do others like to keep her quiet?
She's focused on this community, providing for protecting it the best she can, and the community keeps her quiet in her place through pressure, through whispers, rumors, those sorts of things. soft pressure.
All right. Sometimes that soft pressure is the hardest kind, though. Let's not lie to ourselves. Uh, Mother, what's Mrs. Claus's figure like?
Her figure, it's tall and broad. It shows the strength that she carries, the muscle that she's had to build up just in the act of taking care of others, of holding weapons and using them, and growing plants and food and hunting. And at the same time, it's soft, curved, proof that she is well fed, feeds the family and those around her well, that she still is allowed to have some softness.
Thank you. And what do others wish was different about your figure?
While she's respected in her village for being a caretaker, for being almost a leader, sometimes they look and wish that she was smaller, dainty, much like some of the other girls fit for marriage in the village.
Thank you so much. Virgin, what do Mrs. Claus's eyes look like?
Eyes are very bright, very childishly bright. They're a baby blue, and normally they're just this soft baby blue, but when somebody crosses her or messes with her worldview, they can turn sharp as ice.
Okay. Thank you. And how do others know that you want them when they gaze into those big blue eyes?
So when she likes somebody, her eyes will just turn like this big, dull, glimmery anime expression. The whole
Oh no, not them big doe eyes. Oh, love it. Fantastic. And which? What is Mrs. Claus's hair like?
Her hair is coppery red, it's longer, and it's a bit unruly. Yeah, just like that, and some waves to it, and frames her well. But it's always form and function. So it's feminine still, but half up so she doesn't, get in the way when she's doing what she needs to do.
Fantastic. Cat. And but how do other so you wear it like half up, this very practical but still kind of pretty look. How do others prefer that you wear your hair?
They wish it was more feminine, more elaborate, more care taken to do the curls more so than just let it wave and restrain it and refine it to be, more feminine to the eye and pleasing.
Fantastic. So now that we know what Mrs. Claus looks like, this tall, soft, broad woman waking up, these large blue eyes fluttering slowly, this massive copper waves kind of pushed back out of her face as she looks around, and these rough, calloused hands catching on this silken wool of the blanket that looks like the one that's was on the bed you fell asleep under, but it is not that blanket. It's so warm and luxurious. On the wall across from this enormous bed is a giant stone fireplace. There's a Yule log so large it would have taken at least three of the biggest dudes from your village with your help to drag it back to town. And it's just burning away. It's wrapped in the exact same garland that you decorated the front of your house with, the yarrow and the lavender. You can smell it. It's so fresh and heady. Overhead, the ceiling. You're not entirely sure if it's the ceiling or the sky. It's too warm in here. It can't be the sky, but you can see the auroras closer than they've ever been, a wave of colors like you've never seen, so close, just dancing, moving across this ceiling, the sky, like you still can't tell. Now, next to you in this bed, there are so many pillows, soft, fragrant, just the most luxurious pillows you have ever rested your head on. And there's a note pinned to them. Um, would any of you like to take a look at that note?
Yes.
All right. Now, do you want to read the note or do you want me to read the note to you?
I can read the note.
All right.
Okay. Let me find it. Sorry, it's taking a quick second to scroll for me.
It's okay. It does that. It is a big file. It's like pretty high. It's like page 3 or 4.
It's exactly what I was about to ask. Thank you.
I had to find it too.
Here it is. Thank you. You decorated your tree. You put out your lights and baubles. You hung your stocking. Even though there are no children in the house, you chose to do the ritual to summon Santa. You are the one who volunteered. I merely chose. I chose well. I remember you as a child. The care you took in arranging things just so. The sweetness of your smile in your sleep as you heard the bells of my sleigh. The way you always left the perfect snack. I was pleased to see you on my list. You never even stirred as I slipped you into my sack. You are so beautiful when you sleep, Mrs. Claus. By the time you are reading this, I will have already begun chasing the most magical night of the year across the globe. And when I return, on the first rays of dawn, I will answer your every question and grant your every Christmas wish. The entire winter's palace and every creature in it, large and small, are yours to command. Every room and treasure yours to explore. Save my office. You must not enter my office where the naughty and nice list is, not for any reason. I wish you a Merry Christmas, Mrs. Claus. Your beloved husband, Santa.
All right, sisters. So, this is not the bed you went to sleep in. This may be a very strange and very vivid dream, but what is most certainly true is that whether you're dreaming or awake, you absolutely find yourself in an enormous palace. It's chill, but not too cold. You're in a fine, like, it's very warm and it's flattering. It's not revealing. Um, but it's this very fine, snowy white, very silky gown. It's patterned in snowflakes. It has big furry sleeves. It has a matching robe right next to it, draped on a chair that you're not sure you noticed when you first woke up, but it's there now, right within arm's reach. There are matching white furry slippers. How do you feel? What do you do?
I don't like this.
For once, the strange bed is not my fault.
This is so exciting. Santa is real. We're here. We get to see all of it. It's magical.
I'm hungry.
I'm honestly just a little confused. I don't know if this is. I'm not sure yet.
We don't need to be eating anything or playing with anything because this screams of being just away with the Fae. And if not, we were captured out of our beds and carried through a village where no one stopped to save us, which speaks a lot worse of what might be left at home.
Mother, you're so worrisome. Darling, this is, do you not see this note? Santa. And he says that, yeah, okay, there's a lot of questions and you have valid questions, but Santa did say that whatever questions you have, he will answer. For example, what fucking ritual? That's a great question. You deserve an answer to that, but don't worry, I'm sure Santa will give it to you. You just gotta wait till morning. And since you're already awake, and he did say you can go anywhere you want to. And the Animus did say she was hungry. I mean, there's no reason to not. There's no reason to not just get up and go grab a snack. Even if you come right back. Even if you come right back, you might as well just take the ring of keys that's right next to you. Just you can feel them in the pocket of the robe as you pick up the robe and just kind of sling it around your shoulders. Uh, you might as well.
I will take these keys and look for the hall that the mead hall or the kitchen, wherever there is to replenish my aching belly.
Ooh, the Animus has claimed the keys. Most How bold. I love it. So, Mrs. Claus, why don't you tell me what the first key you kind of wander through the halls and they are
Hmm.
very tall. They are built to let the most enormous things through. You walk past beautifully decorated trees, some with, regular decorations like you're used to, you know, some blown glass, some carved wood, um, things that are beautifully painted and handmade. But then you walk past things that are delicate in ways you don't know how to describe. Perfect replicas of snowflakes made out of glass so finely tempered you can't imagine how it was blown. Intricately etched with Escher spirals that just draw you deep and lights glowing from within them. Normal Christmas tree shit, right?
Hmm.
So as you're walking through this hall, you realize that the key in your hand probably matches the door across from you. Tell me what that key looks like.
This key. I make this up, or is this in the guide, real quick?
You make it up. You make up what the keys look
Gotcha.
like, and then I tell you what's inside the room based on the key you describe.
The key that I pull is made of iron. It has this almost like Art Nouveau type calligraphy, sort of like at the head where it kind of has like these little waves to it. Yeah, it's got that Art Nouveau style to it, pure iron, no rust whatsoever. Strong yet soft, just like us.
Okay. Now, does it feel like it's the right weight for its size? Does it feel heavy for its
It
size,
feels
light for
heavy.
its size? It's heavy for its size.
Hmm.
Okay. So you approach the door across the hall from you. It's a wide set of double doors. They remind you of the doors on the community hall. They are thick, hand planed rowan. They are age colored, a little bit of smoke around the corners. They are banded with the same dark iron as the key in your hand, but they're also beautifully decorated. There's holly and there's winter berries. There's mistletoe and ivy decorated in and out across, woven into wreaths on both the doors. You put the key in, and it's just the slightest bit of pushback against you before it clicks, and the double doors swing open ahead of you. You step into the room. Now, the good news is that you have found one of the kitchens in the Winter Palace.
Excellent.
Excellent. There are things scurrying around. They are, at first, they kind of look like children in aprons with ridiculously large bows. They're not much bigger than toddlers, but when they turn around, they have an ugly, pinched old face with very large eyes that just not a thought's behind them. If there was half a thought, it was mean, but they lost it. And they're just running around in aprons. They're dirty. They're covered in flour. They're sticky with jam. They've got hats sitting on crooked. They've got frosting and things smeared across their faces and hands. And mostly, they seem to just be running around making messes. There are lines and rows of tables all across this enormous kitchen, and there are cookies on sheets. Some of them are not, some of them haven't been cooked yet. Some of them have been cooked and not decorated. Some of them have been decorated. You see little fingerprints in all of them. Um, on the other side of the kitchen, there are very, very large creatures. You are a tall woman, Mrs. Claus. They are well over twice your size. They are significantly wider. Their arms are wider than your torso. They are large, hairy, just from head to toe, matted, with just this grayish white fur. The eyes that are looking at you are about the same size as yours, despite how large this thing is. So, really, it has quite small, dark little eyes, and they're staring at you a little too intelligently. They don't make a sound. They just keep, some of them are mixing up batter. Some of them are putting cookies in the oven. Some are taking them out. Some of them are trying to shoo away the vermin, smearing, just shoveling cookies in their mouth. They're helping. Santa's elves. What would you like to do?
So there are these smaller elves and these larger elves?
Well, I wouldn't call them elves. The small things you would call elves if you were
Mm-hmm.
really unkindly disposed towards the fair folk. These
Mm-hmm.
are ugly, twisted little creatures. Like, these are if someone tried, nothing here is quite correct. These giant
Mm-hmm.
things are almost like if something tried to describe a man but had never seen one before.
Mm-hmm.
These elf things are like if someone had tried to describe a brownie, the fair folk of your own place, but had
Mm-hmm.
never seen one before.
So I think I'm gonna walk over to one of the tables that has the baked cookies, like the already made ones, and I'm gonna lock eyes with one of these larger creatures since they seem to be staring at me anyway. I'm just gonna keep looking, and I'm gonna reach over and I'm gonna grab a cookie from the pan without taking my eyes off of this beast, and I'm going to eat the cookie.
Okay. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is let's take a look. You are definitely
Mm-hmm.
making a move. Let's see what kind
Oh
of
yeah.
move you are making, Animus. Now,
Just a fuck around and find out kind of move is what's happening.
it sure as
Like-
shit is. But let's see if this
Mhm.
counts as a maiden move or a ring move.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about this cookie for a minute, and then you can tell me whether you think this is a maiden move or a ring move. So the cookie is warm in your hand. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful little gingerbread cookie. It is exquisitely made, and just it's been decorated, but it hasn't been touched by their grubby little hands.
Mm-hmm.
It is a beautiful young woman. She doesn't look like you. She
Mm-hmm.
has her hair in a series of complicated, like honey gold braids. She's wearing a red dress. She's dressed in a very traditional Mrs. Claus kind of way. It's a long red dress. It's all the fur trim with the ermine and the little black spots. She has a muff. It's finely detailed little sugar pearls, disco dust and shit. It's beautiful. She looks
Mm-hmm.
so pretty. There is, as you bite into it, as you get it up, you have a whiff of that wonderful, delicious gingerbread, and you bite it, and there's something not quite right about the taste of it. It's it's gingerbready. It's so good,
Yeah.
but then there's a filling or there's something in there, and it's like strawberries and pennies.
Spit that out, Animus.
Yep, spit it out.
Something we don't know where this stuff came from. We're already making a huge mistake being here more than we need to be. Get that out of our mouths.
I mean, to be
What else?
fair, it could be lingonberry. Y'all have never had a lingonberry in your life. That could be lingonberry jam. Maybe it just tastes like strawberries and pennies. You don't know.
We
Please be
also
more
don't know what
Y'all
these
just gonna be rude?
creatures are capable of.
Maybe
Before
politely
I
spit it out where they can't
before I
see.
spit it out or swallow, can I take stock?
You sure can.
Okay.
Okay.
What do I roll for that?
So when it comes to taking stock, what you're
Mm-hmm.
going to do is you are going to roll. Do do do. Is that where I put my bookmark there and everything, and then I didn't even look at my bookmark. So you roll. Why is it not telling me
I don't
either?
think you roll for maiden moves.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. You just ask
Okay.
one.
I'm gonna ask what horror is hidden here from me.
Okay. So as you look across the table, you see that there are all of the little gingerbread women are
Mm-hmm.
the exact same woman that you're holding now. There's a whole bunch of other little gingerbread people. In fact, what the large hairy things, what these Yeti are busy doing, are they're assembling a very fine, like shadow box arrangement of gingerbread. And it's this story of this woman in red being chased by this large figure. You never quite see what it is. Maybe it's one of the Yeti things. I don't know. It's a large bipedal thing. Maybe it's one of these Yeti things, but something is chasing her through the woods over and over and over, and they incorporate these ruined little cookies that the elves have grabbed, and as they put them in, the places where they've dragged their fingers through look like rips on her dress, tears at her skin, until
Mm-hmm.
finally the crumbled pieces of a cookie are left scattered at the very end of this gingerbread trail.
What color is my robe?
You're in white, Mrs. Claus.
Okay. I kind of like looking at this and looking around, tasting this weird gingerbread. I put the cookie back down on the tray, and then I don't like regurgitate the cookie. I take the piece that I've like chewed up with my mouth. This is gross, I'm sorry. And it's kind of in a ball, and I just put it back with the rest of the cookie that like as the head.
No, not the Peter Griffin. You didn't go, uh.
And it's just like that's okay. I don't want a lindenberry gingerbread lady cookie.
While we're messing with this cookie, can I go ahead and investigate a mysterious object?
You sure can.
The first one I want to ask is what about this item, primarily the cookie, if not these cookies in general, is odd or uncanny?
Okay. Um, the thing that is the most uncanny about these cookies is, you know, it doesn't look like they're doing anything fine enough. It looks like they're just doing the most basic of icing motions with their backs turned to you. You don't see them decorating the little women, but every time they turn around, this little woman is so real. She looks so real. All of her expressions as she runs in terror through that forest, one little cookie at a time, are so real.
And why did Bluebeard keep this item? Why did Santa keep this item?
Well, I mean, it's the winter palace. Gingerbread houses are very important to have. And little gingerbread people are so important at Christmas time. And he likes this little gingerbread person because it does look very much like one of the previous Mrs. Clauses. So that's why they all look like that.
Now that we know that, can we go ahead and do investigate a mysterious object on the shadow box?
Yeah, you can investigate more objects.
All right. Would that put us in danger?
What a great question.
I'm just
No, that was the
asking.
whole sentence. What a great question.
Maybe we
But I want to do it. I just need to know if it puts me in danger so I can see if my face comes into play.
I mean, possibly. Let's find out together.
All right.
Okay. So you do have to get fairly close. Um, you're over here at the assembly line part of the table is where you stopped and took a cookie. But this is further down. You have to really kind of walk through a bunch of these little elves who are just gathered staring up at this thing, kind of slack-jawed, just like dogs who know you're going to drop a meatball. They just know they just know at some point the Yeti are going to look away. And when they do, they intend to tear into this thing viciously. But the Yetis haven't looked away yet. So you get in amongst all these hungry, mean little tiny elf things. And the Yeti are still looking. They're looking at you. They're looking at the elves. They're looking at the assemblage, the story that they've made of gingerbread. What do you want to investigate? What do you want to do?
Because she would be fascinated with something that tells a story, and she would love to investigate it and see if she could figure out like, who's chasing her. Because we can only see shadows, and she would be trying to figure out how does this work? What is chasing this woman?
That's a great question. So, Mrs. Claus, you get closer, you lean in, and you're kind of looking. No matter what angle you look at, it's just a flat 2D gingerbread cookie, just like the little Mrs. Claus. But no matter how close you get, it feels like you can only get so close to it, as if it's pulling away from you. This very large figure is just painted a void absorbing black. it's drawing you in. You can't tell. They've painted it in silhouette.
Alright. So she would definitely ask herself, it's like, what memories does this hold? It's like, is there any, who is this woman?
Okay. Um, yeah, I definitely hit the wrong button. Good for me. So, as far as who is this woman, it is easy to tell. It is visibly easy to tell that this is some variant of Mrs. Claus. You know the Santa story. It may be slightly different than the Santa story from our realm, but it's close enough. You know that he rides out on Christmas Eve, whatever day Christmas is in your world. You know that he travels around the entire world. He brings presents to the deserving, to the nice, and he brings something, retribution sometimes, coal sometimes, just no presents. It depends on whose house you're in, where you're from, what town. But everybody knows he separates the good from the bad and he rewards the good. Um, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe this was a naughty Mrs. Claus. He certainly seems to remember her fondly, fondly enough that they decorate little Christmas cookies to look like her. But also in the kitchen where Santa can't see, they make little gingerbread images of her running away, chased by something into the woods, and obviously never coming home again if you look at the pile, which now has one less piece and a very sticky little sharp-fingered elf standing next to you.
She would
Um,
definitely question, as a second question, as like who this object belongs to. Is this Santa's or does that belong to the Yetis? It's a little confusing to her.
What a great question. That is a little confusing. Who does it belong to? Is it Santa's? Did he order this made? Like, obviously, he wants gingerbread houses made, but does that necessarily mean that he ordered this? Maybe they're just spiteful. Maybe they didn't like that Mrs. Claus. I can't tell you. I don't know, Shug. I guess y'all will have to figure that out. Animus, you're the one holding the key ring. You're the one who still kind of tastes that maybe lingonberry, maybe strawberries and pennies on the back of your teeth. How are you feeling looking at all these little Mrs. Clauses? Wha-
Animus feels still hungry. However, there's a part of her that's like pennies, copper. I want to find the ingredients to these cookies all of a sudden because the only other thing that tastes like this, and it's something that I've tasted before, my own, when you're punched in the face, you bite your tongue, you bite somebody's ear off in the midst of battle. It's just copper is it's blood.
Okay.
are the Yetis still staring at us, by the way?
I'm still locking eyes with the Yeti.
They are. They have not, most of them have at this point stopped staring at the elves and are looking at you. That does, however, mean that there's really kind of a seething push as they all start crowding around you, trying to snatch things off the table.
Can we care, or could I do a meta move to care for someone before we start being suspicious of the Yetis?
Yeah, what you want to do?
Maybe. Um, I was going to try to compliment them. They obviously seem very suspicious of us and big giant Yetis doing little tiny, like very realistic faces. And
Yes,
just, you
please,
captured them well.
please, please compliment and flirt with these
Well, not flirt,
giants.
but give
Snow
credit where credit's
monsters.
due.
Okay.
They're men. They don't know the difference.
I mean, you don't know that. There is literally no way for you to tell the difference.
There's
Just
no
There
assuming
bikinis.
is
their
no
gender.
sexual
Like-
dimorphism. There is no sexual dimorphism between the Yeti.
Oh wow! All
You
right.
cannot tell the difference unless you know what you're looking at, and you don't know what you're looking at.
No Yetis,
Nope.
chest lumps.
But I think I'm only really perceiving that they are like you better watch it. Given that vibe to us.
Mhm.
Okay, so they are. It's a very particular kind of look they're giving you. They're looking at you with the exact same kind of slow, hateful patience that they're looking at the elves with. Obviously, they recognize that you're different, but you're really not any different. You're a thing in their kitchen in their way.
And recognizing from battle, that's probably not a good thing if we don't step careful.
They do not make a sound. They hear you sit. They hear you give the compliment to the cookies. They do not make a sound.
Would I be able to take stock and see what traps have been laid for us?
Um. Yeah. Yeah. So as far as what traps have been laid for you, I mean, so good news, bad news. Hey, bad news is you already bit the cookie. The good news is you spit it out, though. So, I mean,
We just well, the animus is a swallower, okay, not a swallower. So
right. So, I mean, that's the good news, bad news. As far as what traps have been laid for you here, eating the cookies, eating the cookies not necessarily a great idea. Don't worry, you didn't eat the cookie. You tasted the cookie. You gave the cookie back. They can have that. By the way, that is gone. All of it, including the part you spit out. It's been eaten by the elves. They are just at this point. They are starting to climb onto the table. They're swarming it like vermin.
the one that we spit out,
Oh yeah.
but none of the others.
Oh no, they're getting those too at this point. They're starting to.
Okay.
There's too many Yeti looking at you and not enough looking at them. They're starting to swarm on the table like vermin.
Okay.
If they're looking at us the same way they're looking at these elves, we might want to distinguish ourselves away or distinguish us from them.
Or leave.
Either way, just make sure they know, those Yeti big people know, we are not a problem.
I mean, we could convince them.
You're really good at that, and I give the keys to the Fatal.
All right. So Animus, you have invoked give up the ring. You are immune from trauma until the next time the keys are passed.
Okay.
Fatal, what do you want to do?
Well, since we seem to be in danger, I think the best thing to do is diffuse the situation. So I will step up to one of the Yeti and put a hand on their arm gently. Look quite
It's a bad
busy.
idea.
I think it'll
Okay.
be quite
It
all
could
right.
work. It could work.
So as you come around towards, you do have to come around the tables. It is, a fairly long way. You go around the long way because the elves are kind of thick on the other side, and you come up close to one of them and you reach over and you touch it on its arm. Now, its forearm is as big as your thigh. Like, this is a big thing. And it looms twice as tall as you are over you. It looks down and it looks at you and it still does not make a sound. But behind you, one of the elves, its hands all sticky and slobbery with really, really red frosting, is reaching for your snow white robe. And it reaches over you and grabs it, just picks it up and crushes it. just one-handed, doesn't make sound, and throws it into the oven. Just continues to look at you.
Thank you. You look quite weary and busy. And I'm going to caress a horror.
Ooh, you braver than I am. Good for you. Let's do it.
Like trying to make friends with a bear.
It is, and that totally ended up very well for that dude in Alaska.
If
He had
not
no
friend,
regrets
then
at
why friend
all.
shaped?
Dedicating this move to Val.
I was like, there's no like advantage mechanic here, right?
Okay,
Just
now
want to double check.
If not friend, why friend
when you
shaped?
caress a horror, you're gonna roll plus blood. On a hit, the horror is swayed by your stroke and directs what was intended for you to another victim in the house. On a 7 to 9, it will shift its attention, but only if you participate in some way.
Okay.
So 2d6 plus your blood.
That is quite good. That is 12 total.
Nice. Good for you. So this thing looks at you, and one of them turns away from the table, and you see, you're not entirely sure what it is you see. Your brain does one of those stop motion moments where it doesn't entirely want to process what it sees being mixed in with the berries in the background. But it very quickly blocks your sight from the counter. So don't worry about it, Mrs. Claus. It was nothing. Lovely cookies, lovely cookies. And it just grabs you with one hand on top of your head, and you feel that great strength for just a second before it gently turns you towards the door and gives you just the barest of shoves. You are dismissed from the kitchen, Miss Claus. Do you want to propose a truth and leave, or do you want to escape?
First, I'll kind of glance over my shoulder. Thank you. Am I in danger here? And I would like to use my face, the spider. Since I've convinced them with my feminine wiles to tell me a secret about either the house or Bluebeard or Santa, I guess.
Okay. So something moves, a large, fleshy colored thing. The hair shifts away from the neck, and it's about 6 inches tall, and it's a little bit bigger than 6 inches wide. It's really kind of ball shaped. It doesn't have arms so much as long, spindly, extra jointed fingers coming directly from the shoulders. It has the same where little feet should be, and it uses them to grip down the Yeti's hair. This thing scurries down this Yeti's enormous body and climbs up the table closest to you. It is the entirety of it. You don't have to touch it to tell that it's sticky. Like a different kind of sticky. These big elves were sticky like, ooh, I've been licking my fingers sticky. This thing is sticky like tar. Like it's you don't want it touching you. You can see that there are pieces of Yeti fur just clinging to it. And it makes a little whispery hissing sound, but you do understand it. It is your language underneath that as it goes, "Oh, Mrs. Claus, winter is dangerous for anyone who is foolish, but this is Santa's winter palace. Surely Mrs. Claus could never be in danger." Everything in the kitchen starts to laugh.
After that, I'm just going to say to the Fatale, just good job. With how big they are, I don't think we would have gotten out any other way or away.
Thanks, I hate it.
It was a smart move.
We need to keep moving because don't think that was a good sign for any of us.
Wait, Anna, what'd you say? I don't think I heard you.
Me?
No, Anna. I think Anna was
Sorry.
talking.
I
Yes, I
was.
could see your mouth, but I
Accidentally
didn't hear
muted
you.
myself doing too much production stuff. Yeah, I thought that was a better use of our mouth than the cookie incident earlier. But I will turn towards the door and I would like to propose a truth.
All right, and what is the truth you would like to propose?
That the cookies here are a twisted memorial to a Mrs. Claus that the servants of the palace are doing. I believe something happened that Santa was involved in. If this were for him, it would be out in the palace where he could see it, not hidden away.
Okay.
I think this is a token of disloyalty.
You suspect Santa? Santa, the holy arbitrator of all that is naughty and nice, of doing a naughtiness. I see you. I I don't understand, but I believe you. Go ahead and you take that cookie. You take that cookie and believe that Santa's naughty with it. And everybody but the animus takes one trauma because that's what you get for not believing in Santa. Now, Vital, you have proposed your truth. Y'all have left the room. You have this token of disloyalty, this piece of one of the gingerbread women left behind by part of the elves, by the elves. It's not an entire gingerbread woman anymore. It's like the top half. Um, you have the keys in your hand, but you need to give them up to to one of your sisters now. Who would you like to give the keys to?
This is a dangerous place where magic is obviously afoot, so I'll give it to the witch. She can lead us best here, I think.
Hopefully lead us to a ham or potatoes.
Ham or potato sounds fantastic.
I do like
So
food.
I know I got fajitas. So, Witch, why don't you tell me a little bit about the key ring in your hand? You flip through until something just feels right to you. Tell me about that key that feels right. What does it look like?
It's a key that's decorated like winter, where plants die, leaves fall off. So there's branches and twigs just intricately woven together around the top of the key. And it's um, shiny, like the snow outside when the light goes off of it.
Okay. Now, as you hold this key, you've been wandering through the twisting, turning hallways. There are so many things that dazzle the eye that it's quite easy to get lost and distracted. Um, so it's not really, you don't notice that you've kind of gone away from all that until your head is a little less achy, your eyes a little less dazzled, and you see that you're right on the edge of a solarium. Um, it's there's snow. You can see the snow through the intricate glass dome. It's piled high. It's not warm inside, but it's not cold either. It's a really good temperature for wintering bulbs. Um, and you can see that through these beautiful glass and wicker doors as you put the key into the lock and twist it. The door swings open and you walk into the room. And on that, why don't we go ahead and take 10 minutes, take a break, and when we come back, Mrs. Claus will take us into the solarium, and surely there will be nothing terrifying in there. The cookies will be made not of, don't worry about what the cookies was made out of. They were made of gingerbread.
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Mm.
Mrs. Claus.
And possibly Mrs. Claus. It, it's
All her
mincemeat.
love. All her love
Mm.
for Santa.
All right, smile and wave. All right. Hello,
Laura.
everyone, and welcome back to night 8 of our holiday one shots. Bluebeard's Bride, Mrs. Claus. We're having a lovely time. We ate a cookie. Like, what can be horrible about eating a cookie?
We chewed
Wasn't
a
it?
cookie.
A cookie was put in a mouth and then removed from a mouth. But the cookie
Mhm.
made it to the mouth. Nothing scary about that. A cookie being put in a mouth. How holiday-ish. I'm having to cut that real thin, aren't I? Let's go ahead
Stupid.
and go back in. The witch has just drawn a key. She has opened the door to the solarium, to this beautiful indoor greenhouse in the center of some far off distant wing of the Winter Palace. It is chill, it is silent. You have stepped into the room, the door closes behind you. Now, this room is fairly large. Um, it's not overly big, it's spacious. There is an enormous pine tree, not too tall. It's probably only like 20 feet tall, small, delicate. It's decorated naturally. It's got lots of mistletoe. It has pine cones with bows. It's got cranberries and oranges and popcorn and all that naturey stuff has this tree bedecked. It
Edible
has
decorations.
yeah, edible decorations. You can totally nothing went wrong the last time you randomly ate something you found here. I absolutely encourage you to do that again. Um, so there's a tree in the center of this greenhouse. There are tables all around. They have potting soil. They have things in them. They have little bulbs ready to overwinter, and there are little like wicker figurines, uh, just scattered like decorations throughout the greenhouse.
I think when we first get in here, as much as being myself and relishing in what nature can give us and being happy with it, and it's just so beautiful in here. It can get lost in here for hours. The warrior side of us just what's trying to lull us like into a sense of security in here because it's still unknown, right? As beautiful as it is. Um, so I would like to take stock and see what stalks us from the shadows.
Okay. So it is a beautiful, peaceful place. It could absolutely lull you. It's so quiet. You can just hear that shush of the snow falling on the glass overhead. There's no scurrying, there's nothing really moving around. There's only those little wicker figurines. Most of them look to be feminine. They've got big wicker skirts, they've got hoops. Uh, one of them has an enormous robe. It has a very deep, like, it is so finely woven. You can see the depth of this enormous cloak that covers most of the face, the top half, but not the bottom. Um, it's a very lifelike statue. Uh, it's near the tree, like it just hung something on it, like super picturesque. Uh, and you can feel it almost feels like you're being observed with the same kind of awe, isn't that cute whimsy that you're observing the greenhouse with.
Just real quick, just this the feeling we get, or specifically the feeling we're getting from the wicker thing.
The feeling you get in general, it could be coming from the wicker thing, or it just could be coming from you don't know, but you definitely feel something is watching you with the same kind of, oh, well, that's cute, isn't it?
Um, I think, at least what I would like to do is to walk a little closer but not touch anything and just kind of take stock of take stock is specific. Walk around and see, are there any eyes anywhere? Like, that kind of like,
Uh,
am I missing something here? Like,
That's absolutely fine. Mrs. Claus, as you walk a little bit closer, you see that there's no one in the room but you. The room is empty. You circle this very large tree, and as you do, you see that there probably hasn't been anyone in here in a couple days. It's not dusty. It just looks like someone planted the bulbs to be overwintered and let themselves out not too many days ago. Um, there's no one here. There's no signs that anyone has been here recently.
well, the good news is we successfully got away from the giant Yeti that can kill us. So there's some good here.
I mean, they
And
seem
this room is
friendly
so
at the
beautiful.
end.
Are you
Yeah.
sure he was going to kill us?
Honestly, I think it's more of that he could have. And there were 3 of them.
Right, but I could have also taken them all at once.
It's better to choose your battles well.
Morgan Freeman's voice. She could not have taken them.
Again, choose the battles well. Let some critical thinking in there.
Correct. After all, we did not have a weapon. So probably to have taken only one. I didn't see any cleavers, but that doesn't surprise me, as you wouldn't need a cleaver to bake cookies.
And I'm telling you, I was impressed. They're big, giant people making such delicate little things.
There was definitely blood in those cookies.
They might have just been mad that we interrupted them.
Yeah, and blood can be used for powerful things.
Sure.
It's not inherently bad.
Blood pudding gingerbread that just so happened to be shaped like our new husband's ex-wife.
But look at this beautiful room. I mean, it can't all be bad. We're not all good or we're all bad.
What
And
did
if he
she do?
decides naughty and nice, maybe she did something terrible.
You think she looked at the list?
Mother, we can't hear you. And she might have looked at the list.
Sisters, we are
boundaries.
growing far too complacent here. We're already talking about this man as our husband. Are we even considering what we've left behind, the people waiting for us?
The power he has, the opportunity to help
We could
everyone
help
that left
them.
behind.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're trapped?
When he
Maybe
comes
there's
back,
a reason we're not finding weapons.
Don't need
Well-
weapons to control him. We never have.
Would
We
it
do
be
have
so
magic.
bad to be trapped here in such a big, beautiful place with all
Yes.
these wonders?
And I would like to take stock at the situation and see what horrors are here hidden from us.
Okay. So as you wander a little bit closer to the tree and a little bit closer to the wicker figurine who's arranged just so that it looks like she's hanging an ornament, you see that part of the tree is overgrown. It's swamped with mistletoe. It the mistletoe has not just been placed here, it is growing. It is doing what parasites do, swarming over the tree, devouring it alive. It has also started to creep down onto the hand of this wicker figurine. It's what's holding her in position. Um, and so it's just it becomes a little less whimsical, a little more ominous. As you get closer, you can see that once again, someone is an amazing craftsman. The Her lips, even though she is woven of these fine vines, and in fact, now that you're closer, you can see that she's woven of dried mistletoe vines and ivy. uh, you can see the part in her lips, the way that her mouth is just kind of pursed into an O of horror, the delicate tension, like she's trying to pull back. It's a stunning piece of artistry, truly.
You would think this normal, even magical, that it's okay?
Well, what's normal? And I think I'm going to reach my hands out and pretend I have sharpened nails and just prick the edge of two of my fingers and utilize the medium. So I want to commune with the horrors of this room.
All right, fantastic.
And I take one trauma.
All right. So, which you are now at 2 trauma.
Yes.
Everyone else is at 1 except for the animus who has none.
So you're taking a trauma from pricking yourself?
Yeah, why don't you read out what your move does?
Yeah.
Oh, yours or mine?
Yours. Tell them how the medium works.
Yes. So it says spill your blood to commune with the horrors of the room. Mark 1 trauma, and the groundskeeper will share whisperings about what happened here and might ask you a question or two. Answer them.
Okay.
Okay. I was just wondering if it was going to trigger one of my moves, but you're good.
Yeah.
So, here is as your fingers sink into a little. They reach in past the leaves and there's something woven in there. Maybe it's dog rose, maybe it's something has a thorn. It sinks into the pads of your fingers. The blood wells up, drips, and as it runs down these dried vines, you can see she doesn't look, she looks very different than any woman you've ever seen. Her hair is very short. The clothes she's wearing are of a bizarre weave. They're very strangely sewn. The stitching is so even. They somehow look more rugged and more flimsy than anything you've ever seen before. She's a very modern woman from a world much closer to our own than to yours. And she's standing alone in this greenhouse. She has finished planting the bulbs, getting them ready for winter. She's waiting for Santa to come home. And she's thinking to herself that it's been a while now. Surely the same rules that applied when she first came here don't apply this Christmas. And that she'd just like to, she thinks that maybe she'll meet Santa in his office when he comes home this year. Just, she'll greet him with some cookies or milk. She's thinking very fondly of Santa as the mistletoe reaches out from the tree while she's not looking and begins to wind around her hands.
Well, looks like she accepted and liked Santa, but maybe crossed the one boundary he had. That's never good.
This is true, but also, did she? I mean, Santa wasn't even there. She's thinking about meeting him, and also, did she go in the room? Did she just think about it? This is so many questions. Let me ask you, Witch. Let me ask you one of
Yes.
these questions. Do you think Do you think she was just idly thinking about going in Santa's office? Or do you think that Mrs. Claus had made up her mind to go?
I think she had made up her mind to go, as she was bargaining with herself over and over again. That she was good and deserved the one boundary treat that she could cross.
I know they always want to act like one boundary is a treat. Just a
Hmm.
little boundary stepping.
Yeah,
All
it's not
right,
good.
Miss. What a shame. So, sisters, you all saw and felt what the witch saw and felt. How are you feeling right now? What's going on?
She did go into that office. She did not go with Cleaver.
She didn't get to the office at all, the poor girl, for thinking she died. And I we are on the path to ending up like her.
Only if we don't play the game. We play the game and wait, and then we strike when it's our moment. We take control.
I don't think this is a situation we can take control in if plants can kill us when we think, let alone act.
Oh, shiny. What was on the tree right where she touched it?
That's a great question, Virgin. Do you want to get a little bit closer and see what was hanging on the tree where she touched it?
Absolutely. She would go closer to investigate because, oh, shiny, distracted.
Okay, so while your sisters are talking amongst themselves, really, it seems like Mother's blowing things out of proportion. So you're just doing the right thing, just letting her talk it out, let her have her feelings, and you see this beautiful, like, it's not chunky wood or gingham checks or any of the natural. It's this delicate, like soap bubble of glass. It's got little glass snowflakes suspended inside of it. It's so, gosh, it's pretty. You've never seen anything this delicately made in your life. It's right there. You barely even have to reach up to touch it.
Right. So I'm guessing that this will trigger my face because, I've now placed myself in immediate danger. In my face is the moth, which is when I investigate a mysterious object by placing myself in immediate danger. The groundskeeper asks you a question of the list provided, and my answer is true. And if I want to do a second one, I will have to mark one trauma.
Okay. So then let's go ahead and go over to the investigate mysterious object, and I'll ask you the questions this time. Look at how amazing that is. So why don't you tell me what memories does this ornament hold?
I am thinking this ornament holds the memories of uh, the woman's childhood Christmas. I'm thinking this is one that was on her tree when she was little, and it holds a lot of happy memories of the Christmases she had as a child.
Okay. I can see why she would bring that with her, why she would want to put it on a tree that was so special to her in like this beautiful little greenhouse that Santa made sure was right there for her. It was it's lovely. Um so what do you want to ask another question?
Um,
Do you want
yeah,
to be asked another question?
well, no, she's going to choose to ask a question. Like, even though it's beautiful and holds these beautiful memories, what about this object is odd or uncanny? Because we know it's might be this tree is dangerous. So even though it's beautiful and oh shiny and happy memories, what's uncanny about it?
What's uncanny about this object is that it wasn't the mistletoe on the tree didn't start acting up until she hung this last ornament on it. This one thing that did not match the tree, that wasn't quite right. It didn't belong here. Um, Now, you investigated a mysterious object. Does that mean that you touched it?
I want to say no, but honestly, for the virgin, yeah, she probably touched it.
Yeah.
I,
S-
if possible, because
mhm.
I have to say the virgin a lot. Can I caress a horror? If this is a horror.
I mean, you
Because I
can.
think the witch would be like, no, nope.
So,
Because as a player, I'm like, no, I ain't touching that, but the virgin.
Yeah, like, no, don't do it.
so here's what happens. Virgin, as your fingertips brush this delicate piece of glass, it grows warm and it shatters under your fingertips. It just, like a soap bubble, it pops, but it pops like glass. It cuts across your fingertips, the blood dripping out of your hands hits the mistletoe, and it snaps out from the tree just as fast as it did in the witch's vision. It wraps around your wrist. Now, witch, this is
Yes.
where you come in.
Yes.
What would you like to do? Want to caress the horror? It's got you. You want to caress it back?
She want to whoop the virgin. That's what she want to do.
Well, oh god, this is not a good choice mechanically, but I'm going to dirty myself with violence to save us, or try to, and I'm going to try to disable the vine.
All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your carnality. On a 10 plus, you will inflict trauma and choose one. You will either disable, silence, or mutilate. On a 7 to 9, you also need to pick whether your vulnerability opens you up to trauma or your carelessness leaves you in a bad spot.
Oh, these gods be nice to me. It's less than favorable at a 4.
Mm, all right.
It's just not good.
So which you notice, you feel those thorns, the same hidden ones that pricked your fingers earlier. You try to warn your sisters not to snatch their arm back. But the virgin is just that little bit faster. She touched it, she was startled. She yanks her arm back, and as she does, those thorns bite into your wrist. They start to tear. And as they do, you notice that your skin is taking on a very barkish complexion. Uh, the veins under your hands look like roots, and it starts to travel up your arm.
Um, is there? Are we close to the fireplace at all, or are we in a completely different?
Uh, well, I mean, the Winter Palace is very,
Mhm.
very far north. There is a fireplace in just about any spot in the palace. There's a small little iron furnace. It's banked down to coals. It's not burning, but it's not out.
Mhm. Is there a hot poker, like a
Uh,
stoke to stoke the fire with?
there is an iron poker over by there. It's probably not hot. It's out and cold, but there is one. You could throw it
Mm.
in the oven and get it hot.
Yeah, I kind of want to like heat it up with our free hand as quickly as possible and see if with the hot iron I can't stop the spread of this bark skin
Okay.
by any means possible.
All right. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that that is something that could be done as a ring move. You could choose to dirty yourself with violence, but the witch would have to give the
Yeah.
ring to you.
Okay, quick question, mechanically speaking.
Hmm.
How many ring moves can one do when they have the ring?
You can do multiple ring moves.
Okay. Since I am going to try, since disabling it to let us go didn't work, I will try one more to do a caress horror. And
Okay.
use the other hand to try to just, I apologize. I didn't understand. You tried to warn us. Sometimes we're impulsive.
Okay. So to caress a horror, you're gonna roll with your blood. So 2d6 plus blood.
It's a 5.
That's a 5.
Yeah.
You reach out with your other hand towards the wicker woman next to you, as if to say, I am so sorry. Perhaps we should have thought of this. I didn't mean to break your thing. But as you touch her with a slow creak, her hand begins to move and she reaches up and she grabs your wrist. And she's just holding on very tightly. She's not looking at you, but she's clinging tightly to your wrist. Now, would you like to keep going or would you like to hand the keys over to the animals?
I will hand the keys over to Ants.
All right. So, Animus, there's good
I,
news and there's bad news. Oh, go
well, I was
ahead.
going to say, I actually think I want to hand it to the mother.
Oh.
Ooh.
That's hilarious. That's even better. Hey, mother.
Yeah.
Hey, boo. So there's good news and there's bad news.
Sorry.
So the good news is that there is a little potbelly iron furnace that is technically within reach. The bad news is that you are connected to the tree with one arm and to this wicker woman who is grasping tightly to you with the other. Now, I can go ahead.
Throw her to the fire, mother.
With
This
scared
poor,
people, it's
frightened
always good to
woman,
go to
would you
mom.
like to throw her into the fire to free your arm? Would you like to try to What would you like to do? There are so many terrible options. I'd
Toss it
love to
into
help
the
you through
fire.
all of them.
Please don't give them a lecture. Listen to the animus for once.
They tried to warn us.
Yes, I did.
No, they tried to warn us. The wicker girl.
She did. In her own dead way. The bees.
We're
The
gonna
bees.
repay her by burning her. That's sad.
Somebody
would
needs
be
to do
sad.
something.
Also, your arm is now mistletoe
Mhm.
woven up to about here.
Are we allowed to repeat moves?
Yeah, I mean, it's all on you. You're a completely different sister. Go ahead. You can try the same thing twice. That never works out bad for anyone. How can I help you?
Because I think what because this is just another scared girl crying out for help, and there's no reason to sacrifice her to a fire as well. And I want to caress a horror and put potentially kind of just like lead her arm to where the mistletoe is on us.
Okay. I'll buy it. I'm here for that. Let's find out how that works. Go ahead and roll plus blood for me.
That's a 10.
Oh, nice. Good for you. So here's how this is gonna work. Um, your it's right there. You know that that fire is right there, and you can tell that she knows it's there. You can feel the desperation and the fear in her fingertips as she grips your soft, fleshy arm still, and you just kind of you're like your fingertips. It takes some contorting, but you just barely are able to kind of rub the side of her hand with your fingers soothingly. You kind of reassure her it's okay. And so instead, you just kind of slowly, slowly, you can hear the tree groaning as it's pulled this way. There are ornaments shaking. You can hear snapping of the uh, mistletoe vines, but you connect where her hand is gripping your wrist to that mistletoe, and the two of them weave. It hurts as it unwhat as it unravels from your arm. It leaves you feeling raw. It leaves your sleeve bloodied, but she and the tree are connected again, and you are pulled apart.
I'm so sorry. This is not fair to you. It's not fair to any of us. I'm sorry. And as I kind of just pull away, I can't believe you girls, we're half bark ourselves now. I think this place is twisting you more than any of you more than you realize. And I'm going to propose a truth. I want us out of here.
Okay, and what is the truth you propose, Mother?
As I pull off some of like this dying mistletoe from where it's been kind of wrapped around our arm, this is a token of disloyalty. Santa is trying to keep everything just so perfect, and one step out of line, we are going to lose our lives like this young girl has already lost hers. It does not matter how hard we fight against him. If there's a way that these things are able to take us down so quickly, just for hanging an ornament, for thinking a little too fondly in a way that it breaks rules, this is nowhere I want to be.
All right, Mother. That's, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you that you're not treating Santa fairly, even though, as I pointed out, he wasn't even there. The Christmas tree did it. She did it to herself, but that's fine. That's fine. Now, which you don't have to take a trauma this turn. You gave up the keys, but everybody else takes another trauma for your disloyalty to Santa. Wow. Wow. Like he's not Santa Claus. It's fine. So the animus now is at one trauma. The virgin, the fatale, and the mother are at two, and the witch is at two. This is fantastic. This is fine. You leave the greenhouse, you back out, you leave the girl still trapped to the tree, but unburnt. She's not saved, but she's no worse off than she was. And anyway, I mean, I hate to talk down to y'all. Y'all are a full grown woman. You know what's going on. But also consider that you might have just gotten your sleeve tangled in the tree and maybe you're just being silly. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool. We got this. You're, we've got this. Now, Mother, do you do you dare pick a key or do you hand the keys off to someone else?
I would start looking for a key. This place, sure, it's magic. We don't know how we got here. So I'm going to start looking for the key that maybe looks like our house, something that's probably rough hewn wood that's been carved, and there's notch marks from a knife that
Okay.
dug just a little too deep on one corner. It's in our hand, it feels almost fragile. And if I'm tempted to squeeze hard, and it could creak and possibly shatter, but this one, it holds firm.
All right. So with that key in your hand, clutching it desperately, you wander through the halls, um, and you come across a door outside. It's not, you're probably nowhere near the front door. This is definitely not a grand entrance. It's some kind of servant's door. Just very plain wood. It's also been hand hewn. A little bit nicer than the one you have at home. A little bit flatter, a little bit better quality wood, but still, it's a handmade door leading out into a side courtyard. Um, off in the distance, you see very large paddocks. Um, Further ahead, you see a, gosh, it looks almost endless the way this forest just stretches out at every angle. And overhead, the northern lights in more colors than you've ever seen before from not quite the proper direction. Maybe they're a little bit wiggly in the wrong way, but it's definitely the northern lights. Don't worry about it. It's the northern lights. It's cool. You're outside, Mrs. Claus. What do you want to do?
This place has been dangerous because we've hesitated, we falter every time we find danger.
I just want to go home. That is all I want. It's all I've wanted since I've woken up in a strange place, and all of you are taken in by this without considering just how dangerous it is for us.
Oh no,
I am looking for a way home.
I have considered the danger. And that's what makes it interesting to me.
But the sky's so pretty.
Lord. All right, now, Mrs. Claus. So here's where you find yourself. You are in this side courtyard, not too far away. There are these large paddocks. You can see these monstrously large shapes moving in the darkness, four-legged, wide. The trees are just beckoning you. You are in, I mean, it's a warm nightgown, and you do have this nice thick fur robe, and you do have shoes on your feet. But that is all you have right now is a warm nightgown, a nice thick robe, and some shoes on your feet. What do you want to do?
I mean, I have no idea where we're at. So it's
N-
an absolute fool's quest to walk into the woods, but we've ridden beasts before.
Now that we're outside, do we see where a firewood pile would be? Or a shed?
There are a lot of outbuildings. The
Uh-huh.
Winter Palace is not just a name. This is a very large castle-like structure. There are a variety of outbuildings between you and the paddock in the distance. One of them could absolutely have firewood.
I would like to meander in that direction because where there's firewood, there's an axe. And you know what? We have been here far too long just wandering without an axe. And that is
Without
not like whether we're afraid or intrigued or in need, that doesn't matter. What matters is that we don't do this without an axe.
I'm here for this. I love it. So here's the thing. The animus really wants a weapon. She says that y'all will feel much better if you are armed. Mother, how do you feel? Do you feel like you'd feel much better if you were armed, or would you feel much better if you just went inside?
I think I would feel better if we're armed. I also don't I'm also not sure we're going to be allowed to have a weapon, but I would still just to calm Animus, possibly make her
Calm me. I'm
consider
trying to
this.
calm you.
I love how
I,
you're all thinking of each other. Aw.
I'm trying to give you assurance, and you know,
I don't
it's
need
not a
assurance.
weapon.
I want a way home.
It's a tool. Here's the thing.
Well, it
I'm
will
sh-
show a particular face if we're just carrying around an axe.
we have a very big robe. We can hide it.
Maybe you could hide it. It might be
Could we
big
get
enough
it
for that.
fast enough if we need it?
Who knows?
Of course I can.
Of course you
Who
can.
And
So,
besides, if we do happen to accidentally, I don't know, die here, I would like to die with an axe in my hand.
it is the way to get to a Warrior 7. Dying armed. But, Warrior 7s, who knows how real that is? You are at Santa's house. Maybe it's super real. Maybe you should have an axe in your hand. There is a shed right there on the edge of the paddock. The door is ajar. You could go over and see if you can get in there if there's a weapon, or you can go back in the Winter Palace, Mother. What would you like to do?
I'm not confident I want to be back in that place, so I would at least start with searching the shed.
Okay. So you leave little footprints in the snow. They are they look, you don't have like ginormous clown feet, but you got some pretty, you're not a small woman. You
We're
have sizable
5'11" at
feet,
least.
right? But they look so dainty next to some of the other tracks that are in this pristine snow. Some of them just look long and wide, and at first you can't figure out what is making them until you see the snow people, just snowmen and snow women, just kind of making little weird wiggling motions, scooching themselves across the snow, leaving wide paths. Um, they don't, they wave to you. Some of them tip their hats, but nobody says anything. Their smiles are just drawn on with a finger. They don't seem to pay you any mind. You're Mrs. Claus. You can go where you want to go. They don't seem concerned at all as you make your way into this woodshed. Um, so the good news is it's a shed. Bad news is it's not a woodshed. There's stuff in it though. There is there's rope, there's bridles, there are very, very heavy, enormous collars, bedecked with sleigh bells. I would not try to lift them if I were you. They weigh several hundred pounds. They are not, even for a woman as strong as you, Mrs. Claus, these are not things to be handled by one woman. A team of Yeti sling these on to Santa's reindeer.
Um, if there's no axe, because it's not a woodshed, but there's other stuff in here. If this is, can I look around to see if there's any other tools like a shovel or a hoe?
Oh, yeah. There are tools. There's a couple different things that you see. Some of them you recognize, some of them you don't. There's at least two very large steel hammers, much larger than you could pick up.
Oh,
Um,
If
but there's also a small, a very, well, it's not small for you when you pick it up. It's like a 10-pound freaking sledgehammer, but it's
nice.
very small compared to the others.
Is there an
This is mine
awl to
now.
punch like holes into like the harness and stuff? Like one of those
There
pokey
is.
things?
This is like the equivalent of a jeweler's hammer for the Yetis, specifically used to tool the leather for the reindeer stuff. So there is indeed a very large, sharp awl that goes with this 10-pound sledgehammer that is their dainty little jeweler's hammer.
if this is a tack room, um, I think what I would probably look for instead is a hoof pick,
Hmm.
Okay.
because those would, if this is all grown to size of the rest of these tools, that would
Right.
probably be the most dangerous thing.
It would. You look for a hoof pick, but there isn't one because reindeers are more like deer than hooves. So
Yeah, they're
they got them little cloven
tiptoes.
feet with the tiny hooves,
Mm-hmm.
not the kind that you got
Hmm.
to clear out. What you do see, however, is you do see a very the edge of it. It just looks like it might cut you if you get too close. It is sitting next to a bucket of like, at first you can't tell what it is because they're so large, but it's where they've been trimming the razor sharp edges of these reindeer's hooves down into something that can be managed. They're like, these things are for real. If you put your hand in this bucket of hooves, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to get cut all to shit. Don't reach in the bucket. Okay. Just remember, I told you not to reach in the bucket. Don't worry about it. How are you feeling? What do you want to do, Mrs. Claus?
Well, first I would want to take stock and see what traps have been laid as
Okay.
I move towards like this tool.
Um, as you take stock, what you realize is that there is this section where the hooves are trimmed, where all of these tools that you've wandered towards is not as well lit as the others. It's a little bit dim, and the stool is very close to a stall. The gate is high. You cannot see over it. So you do not know if the stall is occupied.
If I slowly get closer, do I start do I hear like the heavy breathing of a creature for this size, or
What a great question. Do you want to fuck around and find out?
if I'm wanting to move closer, but it would be very cautiously once I kind of note that there is a stall at hand.
I All right. You know what, friend? I got to call you on it. I got to call you on a shiver from fear. You
That's
seem
fine.
you seem deeply uncomfortable. So let's talk about this. When you shiver from fear, the groundskeeper is going to, ask you a question, a couple questions about the thing you are most afraid will happen. And then I'm going to tell you how it's so much worse than that. You can then either keep the ring and choose two of the following consequences, or pass the ring to one of your sisters and only take one. I'll tell you the consequences when we get there. So let's start with, what are you worried about when you get close to that stall?
I mean, the fear of the unknown just kind of sparks all of the folk tales, the lore that we grew up on. And I'm thinking of like the wild hunt and the giant horses with razor sharp teeth that breathe smoke with coals and hellfire in their eyes. And I'm afraid as I get closer to this thing, all I'm going to see is like those burning coal eyes and that hot steam smoke huffing just come out at my face, and realize that this thing is much closer than I planned for it to be.
I understand that. That is such a reasonable fear. I totally get that. So the good news is that it is not a fey horse breathing smoke and fire. That isn't that great news? Like a holiday gift. As you wander closer to the you're fine, Val. As you wander closer to this stall, you manage to get all the way up to that stool because this thing moves silently. For it to be as large as it is, you never heard it breathe. You never heard it got to its feet. You didn't hear the clip of those enormous hooves on the stone. because there's so much. Don't worry about what it's walking on. It's a dry kind of crunchy sound now that it's right there, as if it's made the sound on purpose. When you look up, looking down on you, its rack is longer than you are tall. The tines on all, we are well over 18 points, and all of them are twisted and gnarled. They're long and they are sharp. This thing, we talked about how big these Yetis are. These Yetis stand almost 12 feet tall. It they might come to its chest. It takes at least 2 or 3 Yetis to handle one of these megafauna. There is smoke coming from its nostrils as it breathes icy air down towards you. Air so cold that it curls and starts to freeze as it hits your hair. There's frozen blood on its muzzle, and it pulls them back to reveal sharp teeth and just kind of leans down towards you.
Not a deer, not a deer, not a deer, not deer. Nope. Mm-mm.
Not deer. That is true. It is not a deer.
Mother, this is why we should have grabbed the hammer before you got closer.
We convinced
is
the Yeti to
so
help us. We can convince
big.
this as well.
I don't think a hammer would do anything with this thing. And
Just
I think I am just kind of like, unlike this deer, frozen in fear, like a much, much smaller deer. And I would pass the key like back towards like the witch who might not have the best judgment right now, but is going to have more knowledge on these kind of beasts, hopefully. And I am just going to take the one trauma as it speaks to me.
Okay. So, what you hear, your sisters don't hear it. They don't hear this sonorous, echoing voice that kind of it bypasses your ears. It rings in the bones of your skull as it says, "Have you come to join my reindeer games? The culling is soon."
Yep.
It's fine, Mother. Have you come to join the reindeer games? You know what? Actually, Mother has left the building. Mother's a little upset, which it
Yes.
looks at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's waiting for an answer. I wish it had asked you the question. Unfortunately, it asked Mother the question, but it's still waiting for an answer.
Yeah, and all of the other facets of Mrs. Claus in the back of their mind here.
Mhm.
not the not no not
Okay.
the time.
Oh no. Oh, this. Okay. Can I take stock of the situation?
You sure can.
What does this place demand of me?
Um, it does. This place demands it wants you to participate in the reindeer games, Mrs. Claus. It wants Santa's not here. Santa has taken the A team and is making his run, but there still needs to be a team on the bench. There needs to be, don't you need reindeer to pull your little sleigh around so that you can be transported, Mrs. Claus? You might as
We
well go
use
check
we
out the
use
games.
Malamutes. What are you talking about?
Well,
Well,
you
have you
know,
run
these are
across a
much
kennel? No,
bigger,
you've run across a paddock.
and they're bigger, and they transport all around the world, right? So
Big.
the Yeti liked us before. Not everything is as black and white as Santa, apparently. I'm going to pray to dice gods.
By Odin's beard. Let's go.
Caress the horror.
All
And just,
right.
try to pet his nose and, we'll play the game.
Okay. Now let's be real clear with this. You understand that I'm gonna have this thing bite the shit out of you if you fail, right?
Okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all
Maybe
on the
like
same
Pass me
do
the
we
page.
ring
still
if
have
you need
one
to.
hand? Yeah, I was like, do we have one hand that's like stone? Maybe it won't hurt that bad. Pat.
I mean, it's not stone, but I mean, if you got to give up one, you might as well give up the one that's been mistletoe
That broke
ruined.
one.
You're not confident in this witch. Pass me the key. I can handle this creature.
We can do
So
it. We can do it.
you can do it.
Yeah.
All right. I believe in you.
Maybe the games would be fun.
That's 8.
All
Okay.
right. That's not bad. So here's the thing. It's going to shift your attention. So here's the good news. The good news is that you successfully caress this horror. You reach up with a trembling hand and you press your palm against its muzzle, and it's a little bit warmer than you expected it to be for all of the cold air blowing around it. And it lets you pet it gently. And then, Lord, it didn't even just know that it did not need any help. It reaches down like one of them two smart horses and with its teeth pulls the bolt and lets itself out of the stall. You have you have been it only let you think it was in there. It lets itself out and it kneels down for you to climb on. It is very tall. It kneels next to the stool and you realize why that stool is there.
I will.
Riding a reindeer, Santa's
Yeah, I was about
reindeer,
to say
on the
like
bucket list.
Right?
look
This
at
can only be great.
I'll look at Mother and just you want it out, and I'll hand the key to Fatal.
He's gonna have the
Before
hammer just in
Oh,
that,
you can't hand the key off yet,
Oh,
though.
I
Here's the
can't.
thing,
Okay,
Witch,
yep,
hold
yep.
because
on.
it wants you to participate.
Got you.
So we're almost there. You'll be able to hand it off in a minute
Hold on.
once you
Yes,
take
okay.
this.
Have
So,
y'all
Yes,
noticed that
Mother.
nobody trusts me with the key ring?
oh, I have noticed. Oh, don't worry. You'll get yours.
Yes, Mother.
It's okay. No one's
So,
trusted me with it either.
If I look around this room, because you said that this is, because I'm possibly going to be using my face. You said that this is kind of like the B team of reindeers, correct? The ones that
Mhm.
are. Is there like a in this room, like this tack room? Is there like a sign of like the head of the herd pulling the sleigh, like something that designates the leader, the alpha of the pack?
you know, there is a very particular bridle. Most of the bridles with the reins and everything are just standard leather, but there is one that is gold, like a beautiful glimmering gold. It's going to be heavy. It will be a struggle, but you could get it down and probably get it on that reindeer.
'Cause I think in this case, I would use the kingmaker face, and as like the witch tries to hand off the keys for like a moment, like the mother just kind of, you know, you you look like you need this. I mean, you're asking us to play in the games. It's only fair that we show who the leader is that is having Mrs. Claus play. And maybe even with like his help, get this golden bridle on this horror.
All right, so this enormous megafauna, this Paleolithic beast, this thing who is only technically an herbivore in that humans call it an herbivore. Herbivore is a human definition in the cold of winter. Uh
I've seen deer eat bone
yeah,
marrow
Horses
and
if
have
you've
eaten
never
people.
seen a deer
yeah,
eat a bird,
just chomp. Mm-hmm.
uh-huh.
No better.
Some of
There
us
is
live
one
in
French horse that
icy
has eaten one
spaces.
person.
Fucking French horses, love it. I'm here for
Probably
it.
deserve it.
So he probably did deserve it. So you manage to struggle. You get it down with its help. It kind of hooks it on on an antler. It helps you knock it down. You fasten this bridle to this enormous demon tooth reindeer. You climb up these steps with it laying down. You still have to climb steps to get on its back. And as it stands up with you, a solid like 13 feet in the air, just sitting on its back like a couch because it's too big. You must ride its side saddle because you don't have the spread to ride it otherwise. You hold on to this golden bridle. You heal one trauma, mother,
Mm.
you and you alone, and it leads you out to this obstacle course. It is long. You can't really see all of it from one end. It walks you to the middle, and you see that there are like yearling bucks. They're not nearly as big as this thing, but they're well over the size of a regular moose. And they are sparring roughly with each other. Their their antlers are raking down each other's sides. They are they're leaping off like these little ledges trying to fly. Some of them are flying, some of them are falling. It is awful. This is the reindeer games. Only the best of them will survive to pull the sleigh. You have technically made an ally with your kingmaker move.
Mhm.
I'm going to say that since I'm going to give you guys the opportunity, which you can pass the key to mother, knowing that mother cannot keep it long enough for her to see if the ally will take her away without participating. Or y'all can stay here and wait to see who becomes champion of the reindeer games. What do you want to do?
We have our ally. If we want to go, then
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at Fatal. We have someone that could help us.
Reindeer can fly.
we shouldn't waste this asset after we work to get it.
And we wanted to leave, right, Mother?
Please.
Flying. Another thing on the bucket list.
See?
I agree with Virgin for once.
Look at that.
Surely this will end well for you.
Yep, we'll play it out.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to give mother the key ring temporarily so that she can access her ally since she used her
Yeah.
kingmaker? Or would you like to pass the key to Fatal?
Above table, do I know mechanically how that works? Mother's
Um,
ability? Or can I know? If not, that's fine.
so yeah, like above the table, now that she's described it,
Mhm.
you all know. So like you know that she has made this reindeer her ally.
And if she's made the ally, have we all made the ally, or is just Mother's ability?
It is just mother's ability.
I will give the keys to Mother for the moment.
All right. So mother, here's the thing. You're not going to be able to keep these keys. I'm going to let you
Mhm.
use them for one move, and then you got to pass them to the virgin. You don't even get to pick who they go to. I pick who they go to. Surprise. So,
Who wants
what
to
do you
live
want to do?
forever?
You are on the back of this reindeer. He's got a golden bridle. It can fly. It's enormous. Definitely a couple Yeti. I don't know if they dare stand in its way if it wanted to put its head down and charge. What do you want to do?
I think in like this rare moment where mother shows just how conniving, how sneaky she can also be amongst her sisters, she kind of leans forward to this reindeer's ear. I think we know this is not the best place for me. And I'm not sure if you know much about where I came from, but in the forest there, you would be the greatest by far. They would have no choice but to call you master, call you king of that domain. You would take me there, you wouldn't have to listen to anyone anymore.
That's so slick. Good for you, mother. And this
Slick
is
AF.
not a particularly old reindeer. He's not a yearling. He's 3 or 4, maybe just old enough to really start feeling himself, but not old enough to have a solid place in any of the herd. So he loves what he's hearing. He understands the most important part, which is that he is Mrs. Claus's favorite, and Mrs. Claus wants to take him somewhere where he will be everyone's favorite. Surely this is a great thing. So, this reindeer, what do you want it to do? Tell me. Go ahead.
I would like it for it to get us home. At the very least, try to leave.
Do you want to try to go through the woods or you want to try to fly?
I would probably try to fly.
Let's go.
All right. So, Mrs. Claus, you you grip those reins tight and you see how the other reindeer are doing it. They're running up this icy sheer slope that just at the top just drops several hundred feet. They're charging up it so fast and they're just throwing themselves off. And the ones who catch it fly, and the ones who don't, well, don't worry about them. It means less feeding for the other deer later. Look at that. We recycle. And your reindeer charges at this hill. He puts his head down. He's knocking the yearling bucks out of the way. They're falling to the side. He reaches the top of that mountain. He launches himself up, and you can feel those razor sharp claws dig into the fabric of the night. They're clawing at time and space on the edges. The winter palace gets small underneath you and behind you. The air gets thin. You start to get very, very cold. Your hands go numb. Your lips go blue. He's still charging, still tearing at the night sky, but it seems like you're not getting any further away. The Winter Palace is like the moon follows you in a car. The Winter Palace is always behind you. He continues to go up, but not out. Your eyes start to flutter and roll back. The air is too thin. As you start to lose your grip on the reins, the reindeer notices and circles back down to the ground. It lands in a completely different courtyard, far away from the paddocks where it was. You are in a completely new wing of the Winter Palace. You do not know where you are. Uh, and Virgin, as the mother tries to recover her breath and her wits, you find yourself in charge of the keys. What do you want to do?
Well, first she's sad because she really wanted to show her friend that flying reindeer. I mean, that's the coolest. Um, but now that she's cold, she'll probably uh, you know, go ahead and find another key.
Okay. Now, before you do, the paddock was technically a room. You don't have a lot of options, but there is a bridle on that reindeer that could count as a token. Do you think it's a token of loyalty or disloyalty? Or do you
Yeah,
just want to escape into the palace?
yeah, she would just want to escape. She wouldn't even think about that. She would just be like, "I'm cold, and let's go inside."
Okay. So you can absolutely escape. I'm going to just I'm going to offer you a choice. The deer is going to reach out. He doesn't understand why you're leaving. Y'all have definitely had a great time. Surely you're not leaving him. Like a big overexcited dog. He's going to reach out and try to grab you with his mouth. Do you lose the robe and all your warmth and have to run back to the palace very cold and hope you make it in time? Or does he bite you and you take a trauma, all of you?
She would probably run. She's young. She thinks she can make it.
Okay. So he grabs your robe.
And she
So,
wiggles out and runs towards the Winter Palace.
okay. So
Goodness.
y'all have lost the robe. You did not realize how much magic there was in that. You've gone from feeling lightly chilly to within seconds feeling the genuine bitter cold of north of the Arctic Circle. It catches your breath. You are lightheaded. Your fingers burn. Your face stings. Your breath is thin and hard to draw. You stagger towards the closest door you see. Tell me what the key into this door looks like.
When she grabs for the latest key, that key is cold. That key is ice cold. It is shiny, almost almost like it glows. It's so shiny and so ice cold.
Mhm.
But it's a very simple key. It's a
Okay.
very simple key, but it is so cold.
What color is it?
It's a shiny white silverish color.
Okay. So your fingers are as they as this key bites into them, the key is colder than the air around you. Your fingers are turning black at the tips, a purplish black, as you fumble to get it into the door and turn it. Um, the door swings open. You don't even care what it looks like. You don't notice the door. You notice the wall of warmth. It's not even that warm. It's still frigidly, bitterly cold in the Winter Palace, but much less cold than it is outside. So you fall forward into the room and the door closes behind you. Now, Virgin, you find yourself in a toy room. It's beautifully decorated for the holidays. There is a table set with tea sets. There are doll houses. There are dolls of all shapes and sizes in all sorts of cabinets, baby dolls, jointed dolls, marionettes. There's a life-size doll sitting at the table, slumped over. Um, but it is a doll room. What do you want to do?
Um, she would definitely want to investigate um, the bigger doll, as you know, it is a mysterious object.
It is a mysterious object. So, as you wander closer, you see that this doll is in front of an enormous round table. And on this round table you didn't realize how big the Winter Palace was. This is a little model of the Winter Palace. It's so tiny. It's a perfect mechanical wind up replica. Lights turn on and off, things move, things flutter around. It's a gorgeous dollhouse. This thing must be like 12 feet from one side to the other. This table is enormously round. And the doll on the far side of it she's just sitting loosely in a chair. Um, her skin is made of just bone white porcelain. Her hair is not quite the same shade of red as yours. It's darker. It's a little bit more of a, blood red than a fire red. Um, and the doll is just slumped, s- big green eyes open, staring at the Winter Palace, just in a little white dress. It's cute. It's frothy. It kind of looks like a ballet dress.
So, what about, her is like odd or uncanny?
Well, I mean, she is as finely made as this mechanical thing. You see seams at her arms and at her elbows and at her wrists, but you can't really see any gaps. You can see that there's obviously some kind of seam there. There's a line. You're supposed to be able to move it, but you don't see any gaps. She looks like she is one smooth piece of, y'all don't know what plastic is, but she looks plasticky.
Would I be able to use my face to moth, or do I just not think that I'm in danger?
You only get one face move. You have used them off.
All right. So, I would be wondering why would Santa keep that doll instead of give it to, a nice little girl who might love playing with it?
Okay. Well, that is a great question. As you get closer to this doll and you reach out to touch her, and this weird, again, plasticky sheen, you're not entirely sure what plastic is, but you do know that whatever she's made of, she's white like china, but she almost feels real. And she's life size. She's too big for a little girl to handle. This is the size of a grown woman. Um, if you tried to pick it up, it would be about the weight of a grown woman. But it's definitely, something plasticky. It's definitely not a procedure that does that. Don't worry about it.
What does her face look like?
Her face it's been it's slack. Her eyes are open. Her smile is painted on because her lips are just lightly parted. She doesn't look scared. She doesn't look frightened. She doesn't look anything. She just looks like a slightly slack-jawed doll with a painted on smile.
Right. Um, can we take stock of the rest of the room to see if there's anything hidden from us here? Any other cool toys?
Oh, there's all sorts of stuff. So you turn your back on this doll to go investigate the you should see the people in my house right now. I said you turn your back on this doll, and all of a sudden everybody start doing this. You turned your back on this doll to go investigate all of these built-in shelves, and you see that all of these dolls are very finely crafted, beautifully detailed. These are not toys for children. These are elaborate, carefully sculpted, delicate china. They're also, to be frank, pretty vulgar. Most of them are nude. They are posed in suggestive ways, together and alone. They are decorating all sorts of things. Some of them look like they may be part of solstice orgies. Some of them, like, there's a whole bunch of dolls in a whole bunch of positions, and none of them would you be happy if you walked in and saw your 7-year-old playing with this. You'd be like, no. Um, And when you turn around, you see that the doll at the table is still in her chair. She has not moved from the chair. She has slumped in a different direction, though. You're muted.
I'm debating.
Hi. So,
It's fine.
um, looking at all these dolls that are like not made for children, and they're actually doing stuff that she really doesn't want to see. Um, she wants to give up the ring to the Fatal because she's
Virgin
like, I don't
said,
want to
no,
see
I
this.
can't. Virgin said, I'm not being in the dirty doll room. Goodbye.
No, it's like they're
Not
doing
ready.
stuff that I don't want to see. Yeah,
I love it. Okay. So the virgin is now immune to trauma for the remainder of the room. Fatal, you find yourself in the room with these dolls. Um, they are all of the little ones are china or porcelain. You know, they all of them are dressed a little bit differently. All of them are dressed like, you know, they're not dressed like you, but they're some of them are dressed like blue Mrs. Clauses, some of them are dressed like green Mrs. Clauses, some of them they're dressed like Mrs. Clauses when they dressed at all.
Yeah, I think there's a slight roll of the eyes as the Virgin hands the ring over. Um, can I investigate these dolls? I want to know what memories these items hold. If I can glean anything from the nuances of their posing or their
Okay.
designs.
So as you get closer to the dolls to investigate them, you lean a little bit closer, and now that the virgin's not averting your eyes, you see that I mean, they're all dressed differently, but they're all the same doll. They're all a variation of the large one sitting over at the table. Um, I mean, to be fair, in almost all of these dolls, she just looks thrilled to be here. She do. She looks ecstatic. Um, and in the one or two where she doesn't look to be in distress. She just looks like, you know what, whatever, it's fine. Make it real quick. Make a dirty doll, Santa. I love you too. Mwah. You know, so like she doesn't look like she's having a bad time is the good news. These are all the same model. This is I don't know if this is Santa's doll room or her doll room. Maybe she would maybe that was her kink. Who knows? Maybe she liked looking at herself as a bunch of little sexy dolls. She was a very pretty Mrs. Claus. I mean, you looking at her, you can see she was a very pretty Mrs. Claus. Um, but that's what you see when you investigate it, that they are all the same woman and they're all the exact same woman as the large doll behind you.
Hmm. Turn back to the large doll. I would ask what is odd or uncanny about it, but everything is odd or uncanny about this.
You know, to be fair, everything is real odd or uncanny about this, but what you really notice as you get closer is that you cannot tell what this big doll is made out of. Like she's not made of cloth. She looks too soft to be as pale as she is. Like she looks like China, but she looks too soft. You could touch her to find out, but you can't tell what she's made of by looking at her, and it's weirding you out a bit.
Yeah, I'll reach out and gently put a hand to her cheek.
Okay. As you do, you notice that, man, the ball joints on this doll are really smooth because the head just moves. It swivels so easily in the opposite direction so that those blank green eyes are kind of looking at you. It feels okay, it's cold and it feels like it doesn't feel like flesh because flesh isn't cold and it's not slick and the give is wrong. But also, you don't know, you cannot describe this. I would say that you would probably have to have gone to those living human exhibits where you saw the people who got preserved in the plasticine to really kind of understand what you're feeling. But you couldn't have done that. You live in the wrong realm. So, you know, you really don't you just know this ain't right. This ain't right, boss.
Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
The hair
Uh,
feels very real.
can I take stock here?
You sure can.
What horror is hidden here from the bride?
So the horror hidden here from the bride is that this doll desperately wants a playmate. All she wants is to be played with, and I would maybe keep an eye on this doll if I were you, because now that you've touched her, she definitely knows there's someone in the room to play with. Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to startle you by screaming Five Nights at Freddy's.
I think I'll look to the animus. Any ideas?
What, with the creepy doll that wants to play with you?
Yeah.
Same idea I had with the wicker lady. Throw it into the fire.
She just wants to play.
I think
Yeah,
Just don't
but
look at the naughty bits.
I'm sorry, but like, just because, an inanimate, creepy doll wants to play with us doesn't mean that we should.
yeah. I think this is a bit too out of hand even for me, and I will pass the ring to the animus.
Oh, God. All
I
right.
will say the good news, Animus, is you haven't used your face card. You definitely have one that would work really well right now as a
I
log player.
do. Hold on. Let me read it again. My face cards. Yeah, I'll are we talking about the brute?
We sure as shit are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do with the brute is when you investigate a mysterious object by breaking it, ask a follow-up question about the object. Is essence still remains with the item can no longer be investigated by any sister.
hmm So,
I'm going to get rid of this doll.
all right. So, there is a large fireplace in the room.
Yeah.
There's also, I mean, that's really, or you could just break it. What do you do with this doll?
I'm going to like hold this doll up to my face and be like, your playtime is extremely limited when you're just a small inanimate object. You should be free. I'm gonna toss it into the fire.
All right. So, this is it it's so heavy. It is like realistically lifelike heavy as you drag it up out of the chair. It kind of slumps against you loosely like a mannequin as you drag it across to the fireplace until its playtime is exceedingly limited.
Sorry, I had like this image in my head that was completely different because
Oh
I
yeah,
just
no.
assumed it was
It's
a
the big doll.
a doll, not a doll. Like, so I imagine to toss this one into the fire. Like, I just sort of like, I like hoist it over my shoulder, like, and just give it a little pat before I go and be like, "Be free!" and
Right.
whoop
So I
into the
mean,
fire.
the smell is horrendous. You have never
Yeah.
smelled anything like this before in your life. Because again, y'all don't know what plastic is, and you certainly don't know the process to plasticize human
Oh, why
remains.
is it
And oh
melting?
gosh, the smell of that hair
Ugh.
smells really real. Um,
It smells like a tar pit.
it's gross in here. So what do you want to do? This is your last room. Do you want to take a token of faithfulness, a token of disloyalty, or do you just want to get the fuck out of here and run away from that smell?
I What are the differences between the two tokens?
Okay, so a token of loyalty means that you're gonna propose a truth about what happened in this room, like who the doll was or who they belonged to, and why it
Uh,
was Santa's fault if you take a disloyal token, or why it didn't have nothing to do with Santa. This is all Yetis and magic, and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time if you take a loyalty token. Or you just go, man, I don't know nothing about this. This has nothing to do with me. Can I escape, please?
I'm gonna take a loyalty token for truth here.
Okay, and what is that truth?
The truth about this doll mannequin is that this was the previous Mrs. Claus's closest friend, whose essence was trapped in here, who came here to rescue, who through all of the peril made it here, only to not quite reach her. But now that her essence is free, there's nothing stopping her.
Okay, but you don't think it was Santa's fault. You think that's just something that happened, so you're taking a loyalty token?
Yeah, I think it's just part of not necessarily Santa himself. I think it's just the magic of the place that you can't be here unless you're invited. And she wasn't invited.
That is not
Naughty,
an
naughty,
unfair
naughty.
comment. I know, so much naughtiness tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. You go ahead and on your way out the door, you grab the closest little Mrs. Claus doll to the door. She's the most dressed one. She is in like a sexy little Mrs. Claus jumper though. Like it's so
Yeah.
cute. And you've got that little doll in your hand along with the piece of mistletoe, along with the little piece of cookie, along with, your lack of robe. You've got all of these tokens of disloyalty and one of loyalty. Um, but as you start to wander through this cold, dark palace in these further away from the more occupied parts, you find yourself, you know where you're headed. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
may not have been where you intended to head out, but like at this point, you have questions. And Santa promised you answers. He said when he got back, Santa would give you answers and grant you Christmas wishes. And right now, it kind of sounds like the answers you would like are what the fuck, and your Christmas
Mm-hmm.
wish is can I go the fuck home? Like
Mm-hmm.
those sound very reasonable. Uh, and so you find yourself wandering towards Santa's office to wait for him.
Question though.
Yes.
Do I pass up a wood pile on the way to that office so I could grab an axe?
You do not.
Damn
There
it.
are the halls are just kind of barren. They're
Mm-hmm.
decorated, but the decorations almost look painted on. Everything feels a little bit surreal as you draw towards Santa's
But
office.
do I pass up a fireplace?
You know what? Yes, you pass the fireplace. You can grab a
I'm gonna
poker.
get that poker, that
Well,
iron, the stove.
bless your heart.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, you go ahead and grab
Yeah,
that
yes, it
poker.
does. It does.
So
Absolutely
now
does.
here is here we stand, sisters, at
Mm-hmm.
the very most vital portion of our story. You find yourselves outside of Santa's office.
Naked.
Now, you
Not
called
quite.
not full naked, but
Well, just kind of
you
cold.
you in your nightgown and you are cold. You have your fingertips are icy. You are, you're having trouble feeling your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
You are at this point the shivering has slowed, like you have reached that dangerous point of being
Mm-hmm.
cold. And now you've traveled these ornamented halls in search for truth. Every room provided you with the evidence you desired to make this choice. And now you are in front of the forbidden doors to Santa's office, and you must decide. Are you a faithful Mrs. Claus? Have you proven your husband's loving intentions? Are you a disloyal Mrs. Claus? Have you proved his malicious intent? Do you want to try to present your tokens to the Council of Seasons to try to end Santa's murderous ways or flee to safety? Because none of you shattered, so you don't have to worry about the shattered endings.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do, sisters?
I want to look at the list. I have to
You
see
want
if our friend's on the list. Is she nice or is she naughty?
you want to go? The Virgin wants to go in Santa's office.
Virgin. Did you not see the cookies? As intrigued as I am, I would prefer to be invited into his office.
I agree. It gives us leverage.
I mean, after, we put our mouth on the cookie and we burned one of his amazing dolls, do you really think he's going to invite us into his office? This might be our only chance to look at the list and also see, what did the others do wrong? Were they actually naughty?
I think someone who is so strict in their definition can't be trusted at all. I think the game might be too hard to play.
If this was a game at all, we were just one of the pieces in it. I will keep saying, I just want to go home, and we have a chance while he is not here to maybe find a way out. This is so far over our head, and I don't think there is any situation here where we get the power some of you are craving. If anything, it would just die faster.
But if he is actually naughty, aren't we supposed to be the shining heroes and stop him? But how do we know if we don't look at the list in his office? How do we know if he's actually bad?
After what we've seen here, I have to agree that this might be out of our reach. The only way we win this is by not playing.
Yeah, and animals could take him.
Yes, I will fight Santa Claus with my tits out and a poker. Sounds really exciting.
If this is all the legends, he is, if not Fae, the deity. We have the option, if we can, to just go back.
Mother, I was being sarcastic. I agree with you. We should go. I was not.
I don't know after. I don't know after tonight.
It's been a long night.
It has been.
Listen, I am here to fight if I have to, but the nips. I'm still very hungry, and there's a feast waiting for us back at home.
There is.
Yeah.
Y'all have been cooking all week.
Waiting for us back home.
And we tried. I think we gave it a very good effort to learn what could be possible here. And I don't know if we can fight this fight.
Not yet, anyway. We should definitely research more lore and come back on a later date.
And not do whatever ritual got us here.
Indeed.
Yeah, or purposely do the ritual again on a later date, and make sure that we're a little bit more prepared. But yeah, we should go.
Our friend. We do need to protect
sad
our friend at home.
And I
if
do miss our raven-haired lover. Just saying.
Yeah, I will.
La 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 la.
I will
just gonna
literally
loop arms with the fatal on that one. Just
I will literally break Santa Claus's back if he touches her.
Y'all gonna fight the fuck out of Santa. So, sisters, it sounds like y'all are a disloyal Mrs. Claus. Y'all don't trust Santa at all. This is wild. How can you distrust Santa? Anyway, stop laughing. So now I suppose you just have to decide amongst yourselves. Let's take a vote. Do you want to present your evidence to the Council of Seasons? You want to wait and and demand that Santa take you before them so that you can be like, Santa Claus is not good. Santa Claus is evil. Or do you just want to run like hell?
I would like to present to the Council of Seasons. Because we had a whole bunch of disloyal tokens, right?
You do. You have a whole bunch of disloyal
Yeah.
tokens.
What do they mean?
The tokens or the Council of Seasons?
I mean, like, what do the tokens mean as evidence, though?
I
It's
mean,
a
it'll be
cookie.
proof that you're telling the truth. That cookie absolutely looks like the last Mrs. Claus. This mistletoe bark absolutely matches the strip on your arm that is missing some skin. I mean, weirder things have happened.
And we
It
talked our
counts.
way through the Yeti and through our
Yeah.
lovely friend we left behind. I think we could talk our way through this. Well, not even talk, just,
It's okay.
give credence to our words.
We got we got this. Let's
Totally a shining hero, right? And do it the right way.
And
Stop
plus, at this
others
point,
from suffering.
yeah, and I don't think we'll
If-
make it through the cold without
If they
anything to help
believe
us.
a silly little human.
All right,
I-
so
I
it
would
sounds
just-
like the mother wants to run away, but the
Yes.
rest of you would like to present your evidence.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Above the table, I want to run, but the virgin thinks we're being dutiful.
All right.
We got
So
this.
let's go ahead and let's wrap up the story of this Mrs. Claus. Let's talk about what happens next. I'm going to go around one at a time and I'm going to ask y'all each a specific question. You're going to answer one at a time, and this is how the story will end. Let's start with Animus. Animus,
Mm-hmm.
who is it that summons Santa to the Court of Seasons? Not for punishment, but to collect his too bold mortal wife.
In the Court of Seasons, so which season summoned him?
Like, is it Mother Nature? Is it the North Wind? Is it, I don't know, Father Winter, who's even meaner than Santa Claus? Who called Santa to come get his wife? Yo, come get your girl. She wildin'.
Oh. Give me a second. Wish I had who. I'm trying to dig deep into the lore here. Hold on a second.
Great thought.
Yeah, I think it might have. It was the World Tree.
I'm listening. I'm sorry, I was talking about penis. What'd you say, Val?
I think it might have just been
Skating.
Very specifically, the stag at the base of the World Tree.
Woof.
Good
All
think of his
right.
name.
I don't know his name. He's lucky he know his name. He got a big old tree grown
Hold
out
on.
of it.
There's several of them. But yeah. So basically the king of the reindeer, we'll say.
Okay. So it is this god reindeer. He makes the ones in Santa's palace look as tiny as the ones in your village as he towers above and calls Santa to them, not to punish him, but to come get you. She doesn't know her place. Fatal, about halfway through January, you wake up in your own bed. No one in the village will meet your eye, but they all insist that you've been here the entire time. What loving gift has Santa left behind to let you know it was real and that he'll be back for his bride next winter?
think a plate of cookies that bears her resemblance instead of the previous Mrs. Claus.
That's a threat.
Or a promise. All
Yeah.
right.
Loving.
Mu-
You make cookies and images, in the image of your lover. It's very sweet.
right. Oh, it is. Mother, what new room in the Winter Palace haunts Mrs. Claus's dreams every night when she tries to sleep?
I think the room that would haunt her is a room we didn't get to see. It is Santa's own bedroom. It is gold and red and white furs and luxurious velvets, and there's a man like always in her dreams, like just out of sight, like the trail of a coat, the wisp of a beard, and a very carefully folded place on the bed, sheets pulled down, waiting for the other occupant.
Thank you so much. And why do I only have 4 questions instead of 5? I'm so glad that I definitely wrote enough questions to ask all my brides. Okay, let's Rochambeau this. Virgin or witch? Who wants the last question?
Go
It's
ahead,
the
Virgin.
witch's
You got this.
Oh, you sure? Okay.
Oh, it's the
Virgin.
witch's
Oh,
question. Heck yes. There
could
we
No,
I be?
no, let's go
Joint
with witch. Let's
answers.
go with witch. I want the witch to answer this one. I love you, Viv.
Okay.
I
Okay.
promise. Yeah. Hey, Torin, how does Mrs. Claus make herself at home in that perfect new room when Santa comes for her on the 23rd again?
I think she would make her own food in the image of Santa. So it's not necessarily cookies, because that's not really her thing. But she's very giving as well. So I think she would answer back.
Okay, so you're telling me that when Santa gets home first thing in the morning, 12:01 on the 26th, he walks in and you have made some jolly fat meat pies and just looking
Hmm.
steady at him eating them. I
I made some
back
big old
that.
chestnuts in them. Just
And they
What?
may be and they may be arranged in similar fashions as the dolls. Because why not?
I love this. It's petty, Mrs. Claus. You get yours. You get yours.
I'm all about balance.
And with that, with Santa walking in and his new bride eating a Santa shaped meat pie trapped in her holly jolly hell, we're going to go ahead and sign off. What a wonderful game this has been. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for night 8 of the holiday one shots. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye to all of our cast one at a time. We're going to go backwards. We're going to start with the witch and end up with the animus, and then I will wrap us up for the evening. Torin, why don't you tell people where we can find you and what you're doing?
Yes, so where you can find me probably most often is on Twitch as Torin Talks Creativity. And as far as just what I do, I'm a voice actor and digital artist. And so I like to just spread creativity wherever I go. And it's been a wonderful joy, by the way, to play the witch and in this game.
Thank you. I'm glad you had fun. Hey, Viv, why don't you take us out? How you doing?
Right. So, on the internet, you can find me on Twitch as Vivacia. You can now find me on Threads as Miss MRS Vivacia, as I left the hell that is X behind. You can find me again here next this Sunday, where we're gonna play some Brindlewood Bay, and have a cozy murder. Not a horror murder, but a cozy murder. You know.
Viv's like,
Uh,
I can't deal with this shit no more. We just gonna kill him and have it be cute.
yeah, and we're gonna just be cute about this. Absolutely. And I enjoyed being, instead of being like the mother of you know or the team mom, basically the one who keeps everybody out of trouble. I enjoyed being the trouble. Hi, it's me. I'm the
You were.
problem. It's me.
You were the problem. It was you, and I loved every minute of it. Hey, Alice, why don't we say goodbye to you? What's up?
Yeah, hi. Speaking of the team mom trying to keep everyone alive, I'm Alice. She, they pronouns. I've played the mother tonight. You can find me pretty much everywhere online at Alice Hart. My card with all my social media, it's alicehart.card, CARRD.co. It's going to have links to everything that I am doing. You can find me next this Saturday. I'm actually going to be in two different charity streams. One is Tavernauts Deathmatch Island. I'm going to be in the first group playing through. So that'll be 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to see if myself, am actually going to survive the Deathmatch Island because I will be playing myself along with everyone else in the cast.
Okay,
Um,
Alice, you have to make it to semifinals. I'll see you there.
I hope so. I am against so many cool people and I am slow.
Oh,
uh,
goodness.
then later that evening, you're actually going to find me on trial. Yeah, live from the apocalypse. As part of their Hazmith, I'm actually going to be playing Vason that evening. Um, after that, you'll find me on the 20th over at Lost Caravan playing Pathfinder. I will drop it here that I am playing a barbarian whose name is Gosselin Vanderbeek. Make of that what you will. And I think my last one, no, if I make it through, you'll see me again on Tavs Deathmatch Island. We have semifinals and finals coming up the weekend of Christmas. And from there, I'm going to be playing over on Anya's. Leon's, I think, is her Twitch. I'd actually have to go and check. On Christmas, we will be playing Sean Bean's Northern Expedition,
Oh,
which we're
no.
all playing Sean Bean.
Mm.
It's gonna be great. We're meant to die.
I wish you a very be the only surviving Sean Bean.
But it's a game where we're expected to die. But you're expected to roll many Sean Beans.
Okay. Well, then I wish you a very many the least Sean
Yes.
Beans possible.
And then finally for the year, it's over again on Lost Caravan. On the 29th, I am going to be playing Lancer.
Awesome. All right, Anna, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I am Anna, aka Archival Dust Bunny most places on the internet. I'm a queer and trans advocate, museum worker, and TTRPG performer, producer, and podcaster. You find me on Twitter at Archival Dust Bunny and everywhere else, including Blue Sky and Instagram at Archival Dust Bunny. As far as where to find me, I'm kind of all over the place. Saturday, you can find me over on the Lost Caravan with Fatal Ascension, our fabulous Ultima campaign. Play Cadence the Time Assassin. Exactly what it says on the label. I mess with time and stab people. It's lots of fun. Monday nights, you can find me over on the Greater Restoration, the GR crew, with Tears of the Rose, our ongoing Blue Rose campaign. I play an alleged recovering pirate as we start out on our adventure being envoys in training for the crown. Thursdays, starting on the 21st, you can find me on Glyza channel with a brand new ongoing Monster Care Squad game that I'm very excited about. Later in the month, you can find me back on Lost Caravan as well for Lancer and Pathfinder. And of course, if you like queer narratives, stories about magical girls, about grief and how it affects you and those around you, and finding hope again after devastating loss, check out Blue and Blight, our Girl by Moonlight actual play podcast. You can find us anywhere you normally get your podcast and on all social media at Bloom and Blight. And for character descriptions, cast info, setting info, transcripts, and a link to our brand new community Discord, we're currently holding a giveaway. Find all of that on our website, bloomandblight.com. Check out my socials for everything else I'm doing.
I love that. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Val.
Sup, everybody? My name is Valdrianth. Everywhere on the internet, I go by any and all pronouns. You can find me like I said, everywhere at Valdrianth, particularly on Twitch. I produce TTRPGs content for me and my friends, including some of the people here. So starting we'll be back on the 29th with our Avatar Legends actual play that Arnica actually runs. We got 6 episodes left of that for the season. Starting this Saturday on the 16th, we will be having a Mass Effect 5th edition using 5e actual play. We're having a holiday special this Saturday benefiting Extra Life over on my channel. So if you would like to help, please make sure you're over there. And then we'll be continuing back on Saturdays. This is going to be Saturdays on noon Pacific time. And then starting in January, we will also be having an Old Gods of Appalachia actual play, which the session 0 for that is this Thursday. And then you'll find me back here also on Tuesdays in January playing some Monster Hearts. But yeah, that's me. I got things. I do things.
You do. You do so many things. You all do so
I
many
just
things, and I'm so impressed by them. Thank you so much, everyone,
don't have
for
a
joining us tonight for this game of Bluebeard's Bride, Mrs. Claus. I've been your GM, Arnica. I'm also the director of operations here at Girls Run These Worlds. Tonight is night 8 of the holiday one shots, even though you'll technically be watching it on night 9 because we pre-recorded this. Um, we have a couple more coming up. We got 13 shows running. That means that there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't do the math. At least 5 more. I'm taking meds to turn me into a potato. Y'all lucky I could figure out tonight was night 8. You can find me on my link tree at Arnica X Ross. You can find me Twitch, Twitter, Hive. If there's a place where you can type my name, I've probably typed my name there. Come back this Friday, the 15th, to see Emma Skinner's Fallen Mirror, a D&D 5e one shot. You can at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Nice Eastern on Saturday, the 16th, 1 p.m. Did you catch our hobbits at the One Ring this summer? Did you see them do some fantastic fireworks? Because they're back. That same crew of hobbits is back for a fantastical winter adventure. You should join in. What are those Saxville Bagginses up to? Who knows? And then come see Viv Sunday 7:30. Yes, 7:30 in the evening. Now I'm tired, you can tell, because I'm losing my English. 7:30
so
in the evening, Sunday, December 17th, for a Brindlewood Bay. Much cozy, much less scary than this murder mystery. And then I think we have one last game. Yep, might as well tell you that one too. Tuesday the 19th, Kat will be closing us out with toe beans. It is exactly as cute as it sounds. Is it about magical kitties in the holidays? It sure is. Toe beans. Oh, I still got an elastic on my finger. Toe beans. So anyway, join us for those, and that will end our Girls Run These Worlds holiday season. We will be going dark as of December 23rd, and we will be back January 2nd. Okay, but don't worry, you won't miss me too much because, like Val said, I gotta do Avatar December 29th. I won't sleep through it
29th.
this time. In
I'm gonna
case
call
you were
you just
wondering.
in case.
Yes,
just
please. Man, these new
Arnica
meds
will
been
also
dog
be
walking my
battling it
ass.
out.
Y'all don't understand.
yeah.
But I will be back on my game on the 29th, and I will see you then. Thank you so much for joining us. We deeply appreciated you. Have a wonderful holiday season. Everybody say bye.
Don't trust Santa.
Bye.
Don't trust
Bye.
Santa.
Fuck
Don't
Santa.
let that man in your house.